Meeting will come to order. This is a meeting of the Littlestown Area Board of School Directors. This is a meeting of the board taking place in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. District residents who wish to address the board are required to sign up to provide public comment at least 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Public participation will occur only during the designated public comment portion of the agenda. Disruptions, interruptions, outbursts, or other disorderly conduct of any kind will not be tolerated. By attending and or commenting publicly in this meeting, you are consenting to the district's recording, retention, and future viewing of this meeting. This meeting is also being live streamed as a convenience to the public. In the event the live stream fails or cannot be transmitted for any reason, the in-person meeting will continue without interruption. Mr. Shoemaker, would you please call the roll?
Ally McCall.
Here.
Nick Lovell. Jeannie Ewan.
Here.
Janelle Ressler.
Here.
Dwayne Sullivan.
Here.
Stephen Yerger.
Here.
Donna Bayless.
Here. Ally McCall. Is she said?
She's-
Oh. Please rise to the pledge of allegiance on a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Right, do we have any board acknowledgements or announcements this evening?
Just our softball team, they went all the way to states. Lost, unfortunately, in the last game, they couldn't go further, but hats off to them and the coaches for an amazing season. They did great.
Yep,
Had a
absolutely.
great year.
Graduation was very nice.
Yep, it was. We had a great graduation ceremony. Congratulations again to all of our graduates.
Did we find out how many, the percentage graduated?
I don't know. Dr. Becker, did we find out the percentage?
We actually get that from Future Ready in the fall.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know how
I'll
many,
get back to
how many
you.
graduated.
Anyone else? All right, we do not have any public comment this evening. So we're going to move right along to Mrs. Becker and the Thunderbolt Foundation.
Nancy.
Evening. I brought Yancey Younger with me tonight. Yancey is the vice president of the Thunderbolt Foundation. And I'm also going to recognize Jill Shoemaker because she is the secretary of the foundation. So she's a new board member and volunteered to be the secretary. So we're here tonight for a brief presentation about an initiative that we would like to embark on to get the go-ahead from you so that I can start working on getting some grants to support this project. And Yancey is actually heading it up, and he has that background. We're very thankful for all the guidance and help. How this came about is a year ago, we had received a grant from a teacher, and it was requesting an outdoor greenhouse, like it's just a little small one. And we were concerned it's going to blow away. It's, where it was at, and it's not going to be something that is substantial. And from there, we started learning from teachers in all three buildings that there is a need for some outdoor learning opportunities for the kids. So Yancey and I met with elementary teachers, representatives from middle school and high school, sort of talk to them what is needed to enhance their learning, because that's what we do. We find the ways that we can bring things in to enhance the learning opportunities for the kids in our district. And that's what our job is. There's things that can't be supported, or there's extra things to make learning even better. So that's where Yancey came in, and he has a lot of background. I'll let him talk about that. So that's where this all started. So this is coming from a lot of conversation with administration and teachers. And this is a project that we would like to dive into. Now, understand that this is project we would support. So this is not us coming to you saying we need money to do this. This is something that we would finance, not the district. So we'll take that question right off the table. This is financed by us, not by the district, but it is going to be something that is going to benefit our kids, K through 12, in the long run. So I'm going to turn it over to Yancey.
Yeah, and the thing I would just add to that is it's environmental literacy, right? So we met with the stakeholders first at Alloway, right? Joel, we met, with your group, and there was just a big impetus to have something for hands-on, right? We live in a rural community, right? But unfortunately, sometimes our kids still go home and sit in their houses and can't tell a maple leaf from an oak leaf or something. So I think the take on, we first met with the Alloway Creek science group from every grade level down here, which was a great meeting. And that's the pure thought here is this is going to be an outdoor learning center here at Alloway for the K-5 program, right? But where are those kids going? Those kids are then going to the Hill, right, to the new middle school and high school. So we then did meet with the middle and high school science group. So we got buy-in from everyone. Everyone's pretty excited about it. So some of the big, and I guess it goes back, I'm not the curriculum person, but it goes back to the Steels. I think was it 2022, started having a little more impetus on environmental literacy. I'm looking at the academia here. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, in talking with some of the high school, middle school teachers, science teachers, they said, listen, there's definitely some lack of understanding in the natural sciences with some of the kids that come up from Alloway. So that's what we wanted to do. And we just thought, it's something that we could do an outdoor learning center, and we're not taking away, there's outdoor teaching spaces right now, right in the courtyard. So we're not taking away those will still be there. We're going to look at adding something, I think I'm pointing in the right direction, to the north end of the building, and some of the main.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, some of the main objectives were a small greenhouse, and we're still just at the start of designing this thing, right? We've talked with the stakeholders, but a small greenhouse, there is a high priority to have a sink or water, right, and power. We talked about having some raised planting beds to allow the kids to have some plants and composting, a lot of sustainable features we wanted to discuss, not so much with building sustainable, but more plant growth and composting, maybe solar power, maybe some weather stations. So just things that we can get this thing started. And then as this thing grows over the years, we can maybe then connect this to the nature trail, and then you have that connection to the high school. So that's where we are. Questions? Thoughts? Anything else? Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the importance of this is that it's something that, especially talking to the STEM teacher in this building, you have one little room and you're teaching K through 12 science standards. And this is going to give another opportunity for learning through the whole entire school year. If any of you have ever tried to grow plants in a classroom, I have. It does not work well as much as you try. But that's where, like, the greenhouse. Now, we're not talking a full-fledged greenhouse. We're talking a smaller level greenhouse that the teachers can then use and grow things throughout the year. It also will tie in with hydroponics that we have, right there you have some learning, hydroponics versus greenhouse versus outdoor beds. And, the research that can go into this for the kids. So what we're looking for is the okay to move forward with this, that you are okay with us doing this project. We will keep you up to date. Like I said, we're at the point where we're ready to start moving, but if we don't have the support of the board, we're not going to take the time to move into it. Like I said, the costs would be incurred by us. We would get the money through different grants that we have available that I know that I can go after, and support from different places that we can get the money. And like I said, we're looking at a little bit of everything, solar, maybe.
And because of the power, the sanitary water, some site modifications, we're going to need to permit it. So we're going to need your approval to go through that process. This isn't intended to be a large addition or anything at all. This is intended to be an outdoor learning center with an indoor, we talked about even this greenhouse could maybe be a kit, depending on what we could find, or something like that, where, the kids can go in. It's nothing like we have at the size up at the high school.
Yeah, it's
But-
on a smaller level, but it's still going to be large enough that it's going to enable the classes and the teachers to be able to expand their curriculum and, do a little bit more like that. Do we have a plan what it looks like? Not yet, because we need your approval first before we can move forward. Once we have that approval, then we can start looking at, okay, what does it look like? And then we can report back to you. This is where it's going to be. This is what it's going to look like. These are the components and such. So that's what we're looking for, is just to have that okay from the board, because it is something that would become part of the district. And like I said, eventually like Nancy said, we do want to get back and clean up that area where the nature trail is. That has a lot of potential. And I know the high school goes down there a lot. There's a lot we can do there. We need, new bridges. We need different things in there. And that eventually would be a part of that, which is going to open up a lot of learning opportunities for high school teachers that do go down there currently.
If we get approval, sorry, I know you have a question. If we get approval, I did put together a schedule. I mean, we're hoping, we can design this through the rest of this year and look at permitting, bidding into early next year and have this be constructed next summer. So just to give you an idea, it's about a overall 12-month process.
Well, I don't know if there's any questions from the board. I just want to say, I think it sounds like a wonderful idea. We appreciate the foundation taking this on, and your mission that is always to enhance and come alongside the district in our educational programs and assisting our educators with our mission and vision for the district. So we really appreciate that. And as far as I go, you have my full support and blessing. So anyone else?
Kids interested in FFA too, so.
Yeah, that's really, it's a good point. That's really the only group I didn't to talk to, but I should, and we will, if we can move forward, for sure.
Are these agriculture grants? What kind of grants are they? Science grants?
The grants that we're looking
What
at.
kind of grants are they?
So it's a lot of grant money out there.
Okay.
I have grants that I have been waiting to apply for the right project.
Oh, okay.
And this is the right project for it. When you're dealing with environmental, that even opens up a lot more doors for things to come in. So I'm looking that we can probably get most of this funded through grants, and then maybe a little bit of money for us, because with some of the grants, you do have to provide money before they will give you money, like a percentage. So we would fund the other part of it.
Now, would this only be like vegetation, or would it have fish, ponds, anything like that?
I don't want to put in a pond. He's saying that. I think that's a little more upkeep. We'll look at it going through, but when we went through the stakeholders, there was no mention of fish or pond, but good question. So, there was, the only examples we talked about was possibly butterflies, but maybe
Oh, yeah.
fishes,
Yeah.
stuff like just to
butterfly
attract,
versus bird.
local.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Honeybees.
yeah, looking at
Yeah.
a lot of with, like bird houses and such.
Good.
It's going to open up a whole lot of opportunities. And we look at this as something that, as we go through, talking with the teachers, we may find something else that we need to add on. And because they're driving what we're doing, so they are fully aware of what's happening. We went to them before we came to you to make sure that this is a vision that they had too.
Mhm.
And so this is really driven from the educators in this district who want to have the means to really do more for their students. And I think it will be exciting, a really great opportunity for the kids and for the teachers to have that one more resource at their fingers that they can, go out.
So it'll be something to learn at every grade, K to 5?
Currently, it's amazing if you talk to Billy Lockman, the STEM teacher, what he does in that little classroom is amazing to me. As I walk in there as a former science teacher and I see what he's trying to do K through 5 in that little room, and projects here, projects there. It's going to help him to expand his curriculum. And the other thing that he runs into problems is that a lot of times the way the curriculums fall, third grade might want to be doing plants and fourth grade might want to be doing plants at the same time. Can't do it because there's not enough space to do that. Well, now it's going to open up opportunities that there can be more opportunities across grade levels at the same time. So,
But yeah, we met with K through 5, all the science group.
and they were
and
very
Bill.
excited.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're gonna have a
they're
connect,
excited.
and his STEM classrooms in the core of Alloway, and we've looked at that where he can get kids out to this, promptly, so they're not
Yeah,
making a
year
long
round.
walk to the outdoor learning center. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have discussed that.
And just, growing things. And then it also lends the opportunity, we have a very strong FFA in our district and more opportunities for them to even come down and work with our kids in different ways. So in the long run, there's going to be more than probably we're even thinking of right now
Right.
for the possibilities, but this is our starting point.
Right.
And like I said, we'll come back once we get it moving and show you things. We're not, don't expect to go out one day and see something built in the back.
Yes.
You will know before we're going to do everything. We don't work like that. We will keep you well informed of what is going to be happening in different stages and where we're at. And just like any building project, we all know things don't always go according to plan, but we have a plan and we're ready to start moving forward with your approval.
Good.
I think it sounds fantastic. I love that this idea has been created by the teachers that are gonna be using the facility. Just a few things. I guess it's something that can be evolved. So once you start with it, it'll be built we can be added onto it.
I think
or
the connection to the nature walk, like, that's nothing that we're gonna do in phase one.
Oh, sure.
I think we're gonna start, and our plan has listed, the first phase and phase 2. We have stages, and we're gonna have to see costs and
And
grants
things
and,
change too, depending on what the teachers are looking for, maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good question. I think we want to plan for it now. You always want to plan for what the future wants to be. You may not be able to afford it, right? But we want to at least plan and schedule for that now. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great.
So
I got a question. So if you put this greenhouse up, is this going to be a through the winter project? I mean, are you literally going to have students in there through the winter? Are you heating the greenhouse?
That is our hope.
We'd like this to be in all seasons. I mean, when you got kids in school over the
Absolutely.
winter time, I mean, there's plenty of outdoor learning centers all throughout PA that use them in the winter time. I mean, from, snow prints or, tree structures where the leaves are off of the tree. There's a lot of things you can learn outside even when it's cold. So we don't want this just to be a, beginning of school and end of school opportunity, but yeah.
Great, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, we want it. The intention is to allow them to teach year round how they want to teach.
Great.
So if they want to teach growing flowers in December, grow a flower. They'll have the opportunity to do that. So it's sort of created in mind to give them the teachable moments at a time when they would like them and not having to move a curriculum around to try to get something in at this time. It can actually go in when they want it to go in, where it fits in with maybe another subject area within their curriculum.
any other questions from the board? I'll do it this way, probably easiest. Is there any objection to the Thunderbolt Foundation moving forward with the project?
No.
I would hope there wouldn't be. All right. You guys have the blessing and we look forward to what you guys come up with and keep us up to date.
And then real quick, the last thing I will finish up with is if you follow us on Facebook, we've been doing a lot of work lately. We have passed out a lot of teacher grants and a lot of student grants. So there are going to be a lot of really great things coming with some of the innovative things that the teachers have applied for grants for. We look forward to seeing them and I'll report to you as they come through. And we've also given out a lot of student grants this year. So you will see kids that are going to, we have some basketball camps, but bringing in special people to be working with them. We have field hockey that has gotten some grants. We have Ann Bear came in for the junior high basketball, and FFA again is receiving money from us. So we have a lot of our students that have applied for money on behalf of their groups that are receiving them and going out and enjoying the summer because most of those grants get used. Soccer is another one. And that most of that money gets used in the summertime. And then the teachers will, of course, then kick in the fall. We did also receive a grant from Dollar General. And this was the first time we've gotten that grant. It was for $2,950. And their grants have to deal with reading and literacy. So this grant was focused on supporting the kindergarten summer program that they have when they're bringing the children in over the summer. So they all the children that have come received summer bridge books, which are just like a little daily book where they can do a little bit of work each day to get their mind thinking, getting ready, prepared for school. We're going to be providing books for them, different supplies. So we worked with the kindergarten team on that grant. And like I said, the first time we've ever gotten one from Dollar General. So you can say thank you to them when we got that. So we were thrilled to get that grant.
You had a good golf outing.
Sorry.
Had a good golf outing.
We did have a good golf. It rained right after we were done. So I think the golf clouds like me because I kept saying, do not rain, do not rain. Now the group after us, they got rained on, and that's okay. But we had 136 golfers this year. And they all had a good time, and it's always great seeing, we have a lot of alumni that come back for this. And Mike Lippy did come to one of our meetings because that's why we have the golf tournament. It's because Mike had that tournament and then he passed it down to us, and he wasn't able to attend this year because he was being inducted into the Big 33 this year. So he came to one of our meetings, and because it still supplies the scholarship that is in his brother's name, Neil. And so, we're awarding those scholarships, and then we follow those kids through school and giving them textbook grants each year. And they're very thankful for that little bit of support. And I will tell you that I hear from some of the kids that we have given these scholarships to, and we follow up. And, when they become seniors, you hear, that $500 that you gave me towards my textbooks, you don't know how much that helped. And I think they also like the fact that we didn't forget about them. Here's your scholarship. Goodbye. You're on your own. It's important to us that we do follow those kids and let them know that we do still care about them as they're finishing up their career, and that little bit of assistance and help. So that was something that we added, and it's been very successful and very much appreciated by our students that have received those. So we've been very busy, and we're going to be a lot busier, I believe, Yancy, right? So like I said, we're very excited about this project and all it can bring for the district, because after all, it's for the kids, and that's why we're here. And the opportunities that we can bring. It's science, so I'm a little bit partial to it after all my years teaching in that area. But it's just always important to remember this is why we're here. It's for the kids and our community and what we can do for everybody. And it's all of us working together in a positive way. And that's what I'm most looking forward to, is a positive impact this is going to have on our community.
As always, thank you so much for everything that you and the foundation do for our district. And thank you all as
It's my board member. I give the credit to my board because my board is who allows our foundation to grow. And it's their support and their positive outlook on the kids and what we can do for the teachers. That's what's important to them. And they support almost any crazy idea I bring. They talk about things, but they work with me. And that's what I most appreciate about my board. I have a wonderful board, and they're why the Thunderbolt Foundation is successful. It's not one individual, it's every single member of the board and support that we get. And that's what is key. That working relationship, just being together and having the same goal, that's what I most appreciate. It's why I keep doing this. Somebody asked me how long, I'm like, well, you know what? I still like what I'm doing. and I'm having fun and I enjoy being with the people that I'm working with. And as long as I'm having fun and I enjoy, and I'm helping the teachers, many of who I worked with were taught. And, that's very important to me. So as long as I have that motivation right here, I keep going. So,
And you have a 20-year contract with us.
sorry.
And you have a 20-year contract with us.
That's a long time.
So, thank you, Mrs. Becker. All right, Mr. Moran. And the wonderful ACES team.
He brought some rock stars with him tonight.
Good evening. Yes, I brought a great group of people. You guys can call. So I'll let them when it comes their turn to speak, they'll introduce themselves in case you're not aware of who they may are, what grade they teach. And I'm gonna give a shout out to the group that's not here, but I'll do that towards the end here. So good evening, members of the school board. Seems like we've been waiting forever, Judy and I and the team at ACES, for this moment in time about our ELA. We've been talking about it quite a bit for the last year and a half. Our focus tonight is just what was Beth and her team was talking about, is about resources. So we're now looking at how can we add additional resources to help our students and our staff in ELA. Ensuring that these resources translate directly into the classroom success. Tonight, I'm proud to have the representatives of the ELA committee with us here in person and those that are at home listening to show how Into Reading is doing exactly that by driving critical skill development in vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. The resource isn't just rigorous, it's structured and ensured education opportunities for all students, giving every single student, regardless of their classroom, access to top-tier literacy instruction. Let's examine how this investment is coming to life by our team. So, okay, good.
We're not,
Yeah, if you can go back, Aaron, to the beginning there. So as he's getting that set, I'm on slide 2. So as he's getting that set, what we're going to talk about tonight is the why. Why Into Reading? Because again, we're looking at multiple things. So why are we choosing that? What's behind that? And then how? How has that impacted us through our pilot, through our experiences, through our team, our students, and our staff? And by the end of the presentation here tonight, and remember, we're not putting on a 3-hour presentation. We're giving you a condensed, shortened version of the most critical, most important pieces that we've experienced during our time. So the proof that's here. And as you indicated, as I came flashing in my red shirt, I was trying to bring our portfolios in that we'll distribute to you guys here just a little bit towards the end of our presentation. Oh, he's got it. Go to the third slide. All right, so key strengths. These will be themes you'll hear throughout the night as the group talks. Appropriate content, skill development, effective writing, active listening, and flexible delivery. So I'm not going to get into the detail. Our team will do that. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Brick. Okay.
Good evening, board members. My name is Brady McClintock. I'm a second grade teacher here at ACES. I was a part of the ELA committee in piloting the resource that we are looking to use in the coming school year. So I'm here to talk to you tonight a little bit about the proof from the students, what the students had to say as a result of using this resource. So at the end of the conclusion of the 6-week pilot, we surveyed students in grades 3, 4, and 5. 2/3 of the students surveyed satisfaction and were voting to continue Into Reading. Next slide, please. Here's a little bit of a breakdown of that survey. Each survey point was out of 5 points, and these are the averages across those 3 grade levels. So the students scored a 3.9 out of 5 of text reading to level match, which just means the materials are appropriately leveled for them. They felt like what they were reading was appropriate. It wasn't too easy, it wasn't too hard, but it was right where it needed to be. In terms of writing skills, they scored a 3.7 out of 5 points. They felt like writing skills were improved. This is something as an ACES team that we have talked about that we want to see improvement in, and we want to be better for our students in this, and we saw consistent growth across all the grade levels. In the reading skills, we saw students felt like they improved. They scored a 3.6 out of 5 on this. We saw gains in vocabulary and fluency. Vocabulary is another one of those topics that, as an ACES team, we've wanted to target for some time now, and we feel that Interreading would do a good job at breaching the gaps that we may have had in years past. And then in comprehension and understanding, students scored a 3.6 out of 5. Again, this was an average across all grade levels, but we feel as though that, generally speaking, the students felt like their comprehension and understanding was better as a result of using the 6-week pilot. Next slide, please. Some of the most helpful learning activities that were cited by the students. The reading main text and stories. So Interreading was a little bit different from what we had done in the past, which is what we were looking for. Stories and the activities went hand in hand, as opposed to maybe some of the subjects being separated in years past, and students really enjoyed that. The whole class discussions, peer learning and discourse, was something that not only the students noted, but teachers noted were a really helpful piece of this resource. The small group activities, this goes back to the main reading. They all tied in together very well. They were personalized for differentiated support, and that offered a lot of value. And then the writing assignments, again, I spoke earlier about how this is something that we've wanted to target as an ACES team. Students felt as though the writing assignments helped build real world skill building, and there was a nice focus on that. And slide for me, please. Thank you. The skills that we saw most improved by students, vocabulary and fluency. Again, things that we want to target in just the short 6 weeks that we had the pilot, we felt as though we saw students gain in those areas. Understanding stories and being able to answer questions about what they read. This is an important skill in comprehension. We saw across all grade levels, students do much better than this. And then not only writing about reading, but answering the questions. And that populated on there twice for some reason. Sorry about that. But students were able to do these things better as a result of the pilot. And one of the many reasons we feel as though Interreading is the best resource for the district. Planning.
Slide, please. I'm Beth Groft. I teach first grade. And I had the chance to pilot Interreading. Sorry. I'm going to touch on the planning piece of Interreading. This resource provides teachers with a clear and organized framework for delivering effective instruction. It's very streamlined and has an intuitive design, which makes planning for us very efficient. It was very easy to navigate, both for veteran and new and experienced teachers. There are very clear objectives for each module, each week, each lesson plan. It was very well planned out. It does provide editable, I can never say that word, editable lesson plans that promote consistency across grade levels. It does have materials that are very readily available to us, and the lessons were easy to navigate, which allows teachers to spend less time looking for those resources. We can spend more time with our data, providing feedback to the students, planning differentiated lessons. So that part was truly spectacular for the program. Next slide, please. Speaking of differentiation, another strength of the resource was its targeted lesson plans for each lesson. It provided detailed lesson plans with questioning strategies, extension activities, which helps us teachers differentiate our instruction without requiring extensive additional planning and preparation. They have read and respond journals, and it did provide meaningful practice and reinforcement of key skills, offering valuable support to our developing readers. They also have HMH readers, and this allows teachers to easily match students to those Lexile levels, and that can provide appropriate challenging text for every single learner, ensuring access and growth for all students. Next slide, please. This resource is very cohesive. It has all components intentionally designed to work together to support instruction and student learning. It does support strong alignment across classrooms and grade levels, which was really neat to see. It has a very structured layout. It has something called class craft, which are slides that ensure greater consistency throughout the building. And in addition, all literacy components are intentionally aligned, allowing students to build their knowledge within and across all the activities with clear connections that support learning.
Hi, Mrs. Arhan. The reason why it's Arhan is because there's two Mrs. Hans at the elementary school, and we both teach kindergarten, so I'm Mrs. Arhan. I am going to talk to you a little bit about the rigor. This resource is it's structured literacy, and it's also aligned with the science of reading. This resource uses explicit and systematic instruction in lots of key areas, from phonemic awareness, the phonics, decoding, which is really, really important from the K through 2, fluency, vocabulary, which we talked about is a big need here, and also the text comprehension piece. The lessons are sequenced to build from very simple literacy skills to very complex literacy skills, and you can move fluently between them. Knowledge building through those complex texts. The students work with thematic texts, which is nice. Kindergarten is a little bit different from, which is the reason why we're a letter and not a number, from the 1st through 5th. Our thematic units is a 4-week unit where 1st through 5th is 3. They tie in the science, the social studies, and the arts. And through this, they're expected to answer essential questions. They have to compare ideas across the text. They have to build that vocabulary. They have to engage in collaborative instructions when we do turn-in talks. So it's a lot of talking back and forth, and sometimes they might not get that information quite from me, but they'll get it from their peer, which is really important. And they need to be able to have that communication with each other. This also increases the cognitive demand beyond just the isolated skill practice, which is very, very important. And that's K through 5. The integrating reading, writing, speaking, and listening, the students are asked to respond to texts, not just orally, but also in writing, maybe even in kindergarten and drawing, to start the year. And they learn really quickly how to cite their evidence. And they really did that even at the K level this year. They were able to cite evidence like no other. It was amazing. Again, participating in that turn and talk, whether if it's whole class or in a small flexible group, they complete and they share different writing tasks with their peers, with the group. And also they use their thinking in order to enhance their communication skills.
Hi, I am Delaney Lippiett. I just finished up actually my first year here in 2nd grade. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about assessments. So the first thing you're going to see are the types of assessments. So there's diagnostic, which is given in the beginning, middle, and end of the year, which can be given online, which is super cool because the teachers can then get that data back right away instead of having to go through and do it ourselves and kind of group. And then there's formative assessments, which they respond in their journals, like they said about the Know It, Show It, read and respond, that kind of thing. And then daily check-ins, which we just do with our students any time of the day. There's weekly assessments, which are given at the end of each week. So in 2nd grade, their modules are 3 weeks. I'm not sure if it's the same in kindergarten, but I'm pretty sure it's the same in 1 to 5. And then they're tested on vocabulary, comprehension, foundational skills, grammar, and they have written responses as well. And then module assessments are given at the end of each module, and they are also tested on their reading comprehension. They have constructed responses, vocab, skills application, text evidence questions, and performance tests. So these can be given on paper or they can also be given digitally. And as we move into, we're digital on PSSAs now, it's super helpful for these students to be able to practice, especially in 2nd grade, because they'll have to do their PSSAs digitally as well in 3rd grade. There are performance-based assessments, which are like projects or presentations that the students can do. I know one that my students did in second grade was a research project, so they had to go through and cite evidence in textbooks and stuff like that, which is not something you would normally see in a second grade classroom. So then they're applying that skill then in future grades. And then there's writing assessments, there's narrative, opinion, informational, and then they respond to reading as well throughout the resource that we would be using. And then how will the data be used? This is where it comes into play. It's the most important. It monitors student learning. It guides instruction, which is why we are even doing it in the first place. It identifies strengths and weaknesses in your students, so then you can base your instruction off of that. It measures growth over time, supports differentiated instruction in those small group different things that you're going to be doing. And then it encourages student reflection and ownership. So as a teacher, I can meet with them in small group and kind of go over what they are doing and how I can help them and the things that they need. And then also at the end of class craft, which I think is really cool, something online, they can actually like rate themselves how they're feeling, and then it only shows the teacher. So now you have to realize some of the students might not be honest, but you'll be able to tell it yourself in your formative assessments as you're walking around the room. But thank you.
It's me, I'm back again. Okay, so I am going to talk to you about the resources. First, I want to talk a little bit about the authentic, high quality texts that the students get to engage in. My students just love the books. They loved them. They were super engaged. They wanted to hear it over and over again. You would think that reading a text more than one day, they would get bored, but they weren't. I mean, they wanted to know more. They wanted to learn more. They wanted to talk about it. The great part about this resource is that you're not just reading the text and doing comprehension, but it also integrates phonics connections into that text. It also integrates the grammar, which is something new, even at the kindergarten level. You know, we did very surface, but it went a little deeper than what I was expecting, which goes back to that rigor part that I was talking about, and even incorporates the writing with it. So when we were reading, you know, Hooray for PB&J, they had to create a how-to to make something besides peanut butter and jelly. Some of them did like making s'mores and things like that, but they learned those words first, then next, finally, in a creative piece. So you heard them talk about a couple books that the children use as a resource. One is called the My Book, okay? And I'll tell you, as a kindergarten teacher, at first I was like, oh my gosh, how are they going to use these big books? Because it is a one-stop shop. It's one book, but wow, they impressed me. The My Book, all the students get their own individual copies. And this one is where they get to take notes into and respond to the text. So whatever comprehension skill that we're looking at, they respond to the text in it. It also has grammar in that book as well, where they take what I'm teaching them with the grammar with I do, you do, we do, or I did that backwards, but they do it in there. And it also has their graphic organizers for their writing, okay? Now let's talk about the Know It, Show It book. Love that book. My students love that book. They wanted to take it home with them. They thought it was great. They thought they were playing games, which is amazing for kindergarten. But that one is where your vocabulary, phonics, writing, and also has other comprehension things in it as well. A lot of decodables were in there for my kiddos, which again, going back to the rigor, going from the decodables that we were using in kindergarten, through the wonders, I got the opportunity to compare the two in my class to the decodables that were into reading. And did they ever meet that expectation? I wasn't sure, but they met it. This resource has very, very strong visual supports. They have vocabulary cards, letter cards, sound cards, beautiful anchor charts, and easy to read for students, and also high frequency word resources. Going back to the planning, the online planning, very, very easy. The first week was a little bumpy, but then after that, it was smooth sailing. Everything is there at our fingertips. If we needed a material, it was a hyperlink right there online. It would take me right to the anchor chart that I needed. That way I wasn't fumbling around and trying to search for it. Planning time is something very sacred. And The less time that I have to plan, the more time I get to develop my craft and do what I need for my students. And the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is Coachly. I know that I dabbled in it a little bit. Some others have used it a lot, and it was really nice to have, especially if it was like the first year, because when you have questions and none of your peers really know the answer yet because we're all new to it, that person was there to answer those questions. So when I had questions about level texts versus the decodable text, because there was multiple decodable texts in kindergarten, they were there to answer my questions right away. So those are the resources that are in this resource.
I'm going to touch upon the writing piece of Into Reading. It was very engaging and age appropriate, helping students stay motivated across lessons. They experienced a variety of genres. Personally, we got to do poetry. My kids were super excited about that. And it was about our module was based off of nature. They loved it. We got to go on a nature walk. I mean, firsthand experience. They collected a little journal. It was really neat to see them become creative writers versus, you know, those formulaic writing that sometimes we get in the mix and stuck in. The program does promote critical thinking by encouraging creative outside the box responses rather than that formulaic writing. It's closely connected to reading through reciprocal learning, aligning with module text and mentor text to strengthen understanding. So we got to read all about different poetry, different forms of, one kid wrote a beautiful cinquain. Sorry, I had to think of that. It was neat to see them be able to do that. The Know It, Show It workbook that Rachel mentioned supports students. It had the graphic organizers, planning tools. There was goal setting in there, word banks that were tied to read alouds, helping them organize and improve their writing. Next slide, please. The writing process, it does take them through that also. It uses a detailed, explicit approach, and it helps break down each step clearly. The students are guided through the process a little bit each day, so it's not, overbearing, helping them build strong habits across over time. Student support is built in through those graphic organizers, like I mentioned, mentor texts, that helps them understand and apply those writing skills. There are rubrics that provide clear expectations for student reference. It does offer opportunities for peer conferencing to give meaningful feedback to each other, which they love to do that too. That's it for me.
Hello, I'm Regina Betto, and I'm only up here one time, thankfully. I'm basically here to talk about digital, which is a very good resource and a good tool that basically ties a lot of what they have talked about all together. An additional tool for Into Reading is a digital component. Traditional instruction, let me catch my breath before I start, sorry. Traditional instructional strategies between teachers and students are usually 80% classroom and 20% digital. Time for in the classroom. Technology in the classroom enhances learning through tools, platforms, and blended learning. This appeals to modern educational values and differentiates the program. Into Reading provides a variety of efficient and enriching digital tools for the classroom. So these are some of the tools for the students. The MyBook, which they had already talked about. For the digital platform, the teacher is able to go to a screen and project the MyBook and be able to annotate and write and work with the students as they're working on their books as well. So she can write on it and work with them as they're working along, show the stories and the text as they're working, which is very, very useful. So that she can work with them. Another resource is the Foundational Skills Practice, which is a digital start readers and decodable text that allows students to practice phonics and high frequency words at their own pace. The last student tool is Waggle, which is an adaptive, gamified practice platform designed to reinforce core skills and accelerate literacy mastery. Next slide, please. Thank you. The teacher components or resources for Into Reading include the Digital Teacher's Guide. This efficient school contains the daily lesson plans. The Week at a Glance with pacing tools, the printable graphic organizers, and embedded anchor charts. It includes ready-made lesson slides for phonics and other components. The Get Curious videos, which are basically the introductory unit videos that sets the background knowledge for the modules. The Groupinator, which is a useful tool when you're using those assessments that you can use to group your students together for small groups for planning based on their scores and their outcomes. When you're giving those assessments, the assessments are broken down by skills. It then takes those scores and groups them out based on the needs by, say, vocabulary, comprehension, yes, and breaks them up by those needs, okay? Assessment and reporting dashboard. The digital tool allows educators to track progress across weekly tests and benchmark assessments with tech-enhanced questioning. The HMH readers, which Beth talked about, are available digitally for classroom display. So while you're working in small group or whole group, you can project those readers to have students reading with you or refer to them as you're teaching that. The Robust Teacher's Corner provides how-to videos, interventionist lessons, and support materials, which are very useful for the teacher. And lastly, and most important, is all of these things can be logged on through Clever, for the teacher and for the students. So they're all loaded right into Clever, which is a tool that we use every day in our classrooms already. So we just log right into Clever and they are there at our fingertips. Thank you.
Hi. Heather Green, fourth grade, upper grades. So I'm here to present you with some student work that we have put together. After our 6-week pilot, I had each teacher send me some student work samples from their MyBooks, their Know It Show It journals, everything that they felt was important for you to see. But primarily, we tried to focus on those important components of structured literacy because I wanted you to see what all this resource had to offer because it has a lot. So in your binder, you are going to see that it is divided up by grade level. And in each grade level, you are going to see examples of the different components of structured literacy. You are going to see things with phonics, vocabulary, grammar, comprehension, spelling, text-based written responses, writing samples, and assessments from each grade level. We purposely put the assessments in there because we wanted you to see just how rigorous they are, even starting with kindergarten and first grade. Why? Because as an upper grade teacher, our focus is always those upcoming PSSAs. So we want to make sure that whatever resource we get highly matches the rigor of the Common Core state standards. And this program alone matches that rigor beautifully. The texts are complex. The standards spiral over and over again. So it goes from being a little bit easier to getting strategically harder as the kids see them over and over again. They're digging deeper and deeper as they collaborate with each other, and that's what the Common Core state standards require. So not only does it fit the structured literacy components that we want, it also matches the Common Core state standards, which is what we also want. You will see things from the MyBook, and you will see things from the Know It Show It in there as well so that you can see those. As an upper grade teacher, sometimes it is hard to hold the attention of our older students. By having that MyBook with the stories right in front of our students, we are able to have them actually annotate in the text. This is a crucial skill for our readers because they need to learn how to do that. They can't do it on their own. So we're able to model for them and actually show them how to pick out those best details. And then they can write all over it and they actually pay attention better by having it in there. So those are all crucial skills that they're learning through this resource. So the key strengths regarding the work in the Into Reading resource provides our students. The students get to reread, annotate, underline, and highlight in their workbooks while collaborating with their peers, all of which involve multi-sensory pathways, because we know that we want them to have multimodal means of work. Students at all levels are learning phonics skills through robust phonics approaches or orthographic mapping. And normally you don't see that in the higher grades, but through this program, it happens all the time, repeatedly. Teachers have the opportunity to use either Classcraft, whiteboards, graphic organizers, or other means to teach this. So you don't have to do the same thing every day. Again, in your student work binder, you will see that there are great examples of the items from all of the different things. I couldn't show you everything that was offered online because I couldn't print it all out, but I do have one strategic example from the upper level grades for you to see. But everything is led through the I do, we do, and you do process, which is so important to the learning of our students. Okay, next slide. So this is an example because as we know, phonics is so important even in the upper grades, especially as part of structured literacy. It was not something I could print out or copy, so I did take some pictures of one of the word study lessons. It starts out every time with a basic phonics skill like we have here with the owl. So they go through and they teach all the different simple phonics. Then it goes through and the teacher will read with the students. This is not all of the slides. It's a 20-minute lesson every other day. So I couldn't do all the slides with just a couple. Then they'll go through, the teacher and students will read the words together. Then it leads into your prefixes, suffixes, roots, which is more of a 4th grade standard skill. So you start out with your prefix and then you add it with your root. Then it gets to a part where you are then taking different word parts and making new words. And at this part, you could have them do it with you on a digital means, or you could actually do whiteboards, or there are actual orthographic maps, blocks that you could do. Finally, at the end of every one of these lessons, there is a multiple choice 2-question quick check. That if you do it digitally, those 2 questions, which is good for us at the upper grades PSSA practice, and it's a wonderful exit ticket, that goes directly to your computer while you're teaching to see who got it and who didn't, so that you can then reassess what you need to teach next time. So again, if you have any questions, you can let me know then about the resources. But there's a good sampling of everything that we did.
Okay, so you see me again, so that means we're at the closure, right? So really, I just want to do a quick shout out for the teachers that weren't here, just so you're aware who was on the committee. Erin Hahn, Jen Myers, Heather Fowler, Jen Gross, Sherry Lynn Allen, Courtney Vaughn, Sarah Staub, Tara Wood, and Christy Snyder. So again, well representation along with the outstanding group that's behind me here for that. Really, it's a plethora of information. As you can tell by our team, we're committed to this. We vetted it, we believe in it, and we're asking you next week to vote to approve this as our new ELA resource, starting with our 26-27 school year for our students and our staff. So we'll field questions if there's anyone that has any questions.
So one of my big issues is spelling. Is spelling a big part of this?
It's integrated with phonics.
What's the
The
phonics?
phonics teaches those patterns, and then they use those in the graphing and things like that. So yes.
I gave my students a spelling test at the end of each, there's 5 days and then we went on 6-day cycle. So on day 6, we would do our assessments. So at the end of on day 6, we would do a spelling assessment.
And you'll see a sample of that in the 2nd grade.
And then you mentioned it helped with the PSSA identifying things. So doing this pilot didn't interfere with the whole PSSA process or
No,
being the end of school and all that, or?
Oh, it didn't interfere with the process. Obviously, we were doing something different with that particular group. But as what they chose to do is they targeted the modules.
Right.
Somewhat in comparison to what they normally would be teaching at that time of the year.
Okay.
It's not a perfect alignment, but it was as close as we could get.
I mean, I didn't know if we normally test things at the end of the school year, but I don't know if that's a good time to test things, but.
We all have the same book, the same information.
Yes.
The handwriting is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm impressed. Even from like the kindergarten level, like, oh my word, I can read it and I know what they're saying.
It's actually taught, like handwriting is taught. I mean,
Yes,
kindergarten
explicitly
and
teaching
second
it in
grade.
kindergarten,
So,
yes.
I mean, it's all the way up.
Yes.
And then I saw at the 5th grade, there was a lot of that, they typed that up, like, oh my word. That's something fantastic.
Years ago, when they started going online, the PSSAs, we started really teaching them to type and doing
So we do some written responses by handwriting, and then we do some typed so that they're prepared for both. Mind if I say something?
Dr. Berryman.
I just want to go back to, I don't know if you'll remember, a few months ago, Joey and I had done some walkthroughs through the classrooms when they were doing into reading, and I had written down a couple comments from the students in each of the classrooms that we went to. And it's just so exciting to hear what those kids told us in the classroom. They're like, it's challenging, but it's good. And so like when you hear them talk about the rigor, I don't remember who said it, Rachel or Beth, about the consistency, like just seeing that consistency from classroom to classroom. And the kids were like so engaged with it. If you'll remember back to another survey that Mr. Moran gave on mystery science, the kids were not that thrilled about writing, if you'll remember that survey. This one is different. Like the kids are like, they're reading about it, they're learning about it, they're writing about it. So it's connected. Sometimes we get ourselves into trouble. We teach the skills kind of in isolation. So when we were going through this and we saw how they spiraled and they weren't just, oh, we taught that in September and, you know, now we're done with it. We keep spiraling it. And so that was really good to see. You guys did a really nice job. I wrote some notes down of things, but you pretty much, you nailed it. You said everything you needed to. The kids liked the program. They were behind it. I would sit in on some of their meetings, their month or weekly meetings when they were planning and working through it, and some of the coachly sessions. And this is like the low hanging fruit of this, but when they talk about, for me, I say low hanging, and you guys, I know it's probably a little higher, but the planning aspect, if they're not spending 5 to 10 hours a week on the planning, and then they can use that time instead for the data and the differentiation and honing their craft and reaching the kids they need to, like, that speaks volumes, because right now you're putting them in front of the kids instead of having to worry about the planning time on top of the time they're with their kids. So
I have one more question, and this might not be popular. When they rated you and you got like 3.6 average and 3.9, what do you think brought that? I mean, that's kind of average, but what do you think brought that down? Is it because it was difficult for them, or?
yeah, it was because it was new to them.
Okay.
For a lot of them, it was something they hadn't experienced before. It was out of their normal routine, where they were used to, you know, having just read alouds and then discussing. This was ultimately more challenging for them.
Very much. It wasn't like that they thought, I can't do this. It was just different for them.
It's just different. And it was only 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So like they did it for 6 weeks and then they went back to their normal routine.
It's good to challenge.
And some kids love the challenge. I teach a primarily lower students, and my lower students loved it. They were like, we don't want to stop. We just want to keep going. Whereas my higher kids surprisingly were like, we're ready to go back, you know, because they're just like, they didn't like that they didn't know everything all the time.
Okay.
Like that. So, but they were the ones, you know, that really need the challenge. You know?
Right.
But it was more of that dip in like, I'm not used to this. This is going to be uncomfortable.
That's a good reason.
So I think, so you're asking 8 to 11-year-olds to appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
If you were 8 to 11 years old, appreciating your learning, but to say that we had at least 60% of the students appreciating that they were trying something new and that it was hard, I think speaks volumes. And, you know, you're going to have students that don't necessarily appreciate that at
Right. No,
11 years.
yeah.
I think to say that we had at least 60% were able to say that they appreciated that speaks volumes of students.
So when asked, they would say, yes, it did help me a whole lot, but I still would just rather go back. You know, they would admit it helped them, but.
And even like, I know like the survey was for the older grades, but even in second grade, I've told a few of them about this, but I had one of my students and she just raised her hand in the middle of the lesson and she was like, I feel like I'm actually learning something. And I'm okay, so does that mean like, it's just like, it wasn't that I never taught her anything. I know that, but it was just like, we were moving and moving and moving. And like, there was just, I would be like, okay, go get out your My Book. And they'd go get it, bring it to the carpet. And then it's like 10 minutes later, go get out your note, show it. It wasn't sit for 40 minutes on the carpet, listen to me read a book, then we're going to talk about it. then we're gonna write in this graphic organizer that, you know, you don't really care much about, but like, I feel like I can make it more engaging. And I don't know, just seeing them get excited about writing, especially because I couldn't get them to write and actually want to write in the beginning of the school year. And then we did a whole how-to as well, just like kindergarten. And then my kids were writing how-tos on everything and then wanted to share it at the end of the day. And then I had a whole like writing group and we would go at the end of the day and they'd share their writings about different things. So I don't know, it just coming from another district where I used the other resource that we were piloting to this one where we didn't have a resource at all. And then I got to pilot the resource that we would like to use. It gave me a new perspective on all kinds of things. And being a new teacher, just kind of diving into all those little pieces there. It's really cool. And to be able to hopefully have this resource, I'm just really excited about
It's
it.
challenging, but they still have good comprehension.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And at a personal level, like
Absolutely.
I have a student that is here in the elementary school and I wish that he was coming into kindergarten, like if we would adopt this resource, that he was coming into kindergarten, because I think that this resource would have helped him in his reading and his decoding and things that the holes that we were missing, not saying that we weren't doing a good job, but there were holes. And I'm just, all these kids, they just deserve it. They truly do. This is a phenomenal resource. And I'm an alumni here, long time ago. I've been around the block. I've taught lots of different things. I was in Harrisburg. This is a really solid resource.
The kids that didn't start this resource in kindergarten, it's not going to be too hard for them to pick it up then.
I don't think so. I mean, even when, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. They are going to achieve what you expect them to. In my classroom with having ECRI, we had the Wonders phonics with it because we had to have some type of phonics. And then when we got this, and I tried to align it the best, Mr. Moran said, the best possible to what I was already teaching, it was much higher. And I was really, really nervous because it was already teaching them long vowel pattern and things that I had not even shown them yet. And so I did a real quick, like, we've got to get these in so they're not dragging behind. And they rose to the occasion and then some. And it shows in my iReady scores. It shows in my reading. It shows in the writing. And they truly blew me away this year. And to have little faces look at me and go, I am a reader. Yeah, you're a horror reader.
Right.
So not saying that in the past what we have done is wrong, but I just think that this resource will fill the gaps that we have been missing.
I think as long as we focus on the growth mindset and the perseverance, I mean, us at the higher level, obviously they have been out of it longer. We had a little bit more of a struggle getting them motivated to start, but they did it. And we didn't start at the beginning. We were starting, towards the end units and we were still successful. So I think it'll be fine. It's just obviously it's going to be a little bit of that implementation struggle and as with anything new, but it's not something that most of us we've done things before like this and it's worked out fine. It's just how you
I think it's also
motivate and support
important
them.
to note that they'll be starting in August,
Mhm.
not in March. And when the expectation is set in August, come March, it's already the expectation. By September, it's the expectation because you've been doing it for a month and a half. So I think given the opportunity to start at the beginning of the year will greatly help.
I think coming in and starting fresh with it.
Yes.
And the resource comes with all these great things to start them with and prepare them and teach them strategies and all that stuff. And I think as we prepare them for that, it'll just move in rather easily. And it purposefully if we start at the beginning, it's not going to start as complex as where we started with some of our units.
So you can tell passion is there from this meeting. Eager, they're ready, we're ready. So really, we've sent the ball your way. So it's now up to you guys to decide to make the decision to help support what we're asking. And we're asking you to do that next week.
Yes, absolutely. Is everyone on the board in favor of moving this forward to the regular meeting agenda?
Yes.
Janelle, Donna?
Oh, we're not voting on it tonight, right?
No, we're just.
Okay.
This is just moving on to the agenda.
The agenda.
Jeannie? Wayne?
You have any questions?
Eve?
Yes.
Ellie?
Thank you for taking the time to putting these together for us. This is, I mean, this is great. I'm like I said again, I'm impressed. And I can see your passion and excitement. And knowing most of you over there, it's great to see that you guys really are appreciating this resource and it's getting what we need for our learners, for our students. And they can build on it throughout K-5. So thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here this evening and presenting. And it's very exciting hearing about the things that our kids are doing and learning. And so thank you all so much for doing what you do to help our district, our elementary school, and for bearing with us through a board meeting. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to let Mr. Moran let you go, because our last meeting, I don't think as long as it went, you'd want to stay through. So, Mr. Alasakis, going to go right into athletics.
Good evening. As we close the 25-26 school year, I'd like to take a moment to provide a final update on our spring athletic season and reflect on another successful year for Littlestown athletics. During the spring season, as Ms. Resler said, our girls softball team continued its outstanding tradition of excellence. After qualifying for the PIAA state tournament, the Lady Thunderbolts advanced to the first round of state competition, where they faced a very talented Pine Grove team. Although their season came to an end in that contest, Pine Grove would ultimately go on to capture its second consecutive PIAA state championship. So we lost to the now second year in a row reigning state champs. And I can give you that was a great game. We lost on a walk-off at the end of the game in the bottom of the seventh inning. Dr. Becker and I were standing there and Mr. Preetz, and we all thought we were going to extra innings, and it was a crazy play, but that's a story for another evening. We are incredibly proud of our student athletes, coaches, and the entire softball program for representing Littlestown with class, determination, and pride throughout the season. As reported during our May board meeting, all other spring sports season had concluded prior to that update. At that time, summaries and accomplishments for baseball, boys tennis, track and field, and the remainder of our spring programs were provided. We remain proud of the efforts, growth, and achievements demonstrated by all of our student athletes throughout the spring season. Looking back on 25-26 school year as a whole, we have much to celebrate. Our student athletes competed with passion, represented our school and community with integrity, and achieved success both in the classroom and on the field. Their commitment to excellence reflects the values that make Littlestown such a special place. On behalf of the athletic department, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Board of Education for its continued support of our athletic programs. Your commitment to providing opportunities and resources for our students plays a critical role in our success. I'd also like to thank our district leadership team, administrators, teachers, coaches, athletic trainer, support staff, event workers, booster organizations, volunteers, fans, and community members. It is a collective effort to make our sports teams and our overall athletic program successful. The success of our programs is truly a team effort, and we are fortunate to have so many individuals who invest their time, energy, and resources into supporting our student athletes. Most importantly, we would like to thank our student athletes. They continue to make us proud through their hard work, their dedication, their sportsmanship, and commitment to representing Littlestown High School in a positive manner. We are fortunate to have such outstanding young people participating in our programs. While another school year is coming to a close, preparations for the 2026 fall season are already underway. Our fall Meet the Coaches night is scheduled for August 5th at 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium. Football heat acclimatization begins on August 10th, and the first official day of fall sports practices is August 17th. Before we know it, the excitement of fall athletics will be upon us. However, before that time arrives, we encourage all of our student athletes and families to take advantage of the summer months. Enjoy time together, recharge, stay active and in shape, and return refreshed and ready for another successful year. Thank you once again for your continued support of Littlestown Athletics through the 25-26 school year. We look forward to building upon this year's successes and continue to provide exceptional opportunities for our student athletes in the year ahead. Thank you so much and have a wonderful summer. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Alasakis. Dr. Fiaski.
Evening, everyone. Hello all. So 6 years ago, we surveyed our Littlestown staff about the biggest barriers that interfering with their ability to teach and our students' ability to learn. The results were clear. They said behavior, anxiety, depression, and family issues topped those lists of concerns. As a district, we looked at this feedback seriously, and we didn't just look at the data. We all took action and figured out a sustainable way to truly support our teachers and give them the resources they need. So what I want to share with you is the number of students that our teachers were able to get support from our behavior specialists and our mental health therapists. So this year, our elementary behavior specialist has 58 students on her caseload. She was able to work with 58 students with behavior concerns, students in the autism class. She parked a lot of time down in that area. The intensive learning support classroom, functional behavioral assessments, writing positive behavior plans, and working with the teachers to find different strategies to help students in the classroom. So at the high school, our secondary behavior specialist, and we always want them to get better as we go up, she worked with 30 students, the same process, in the classroom with the teachers, parking in those classrooms on a daily basis, supporting students, providing strategies, writing plans, the whole 9 yards. So along with that, our students in our autism classroom, our emotional support classrooms, and our intensive learning support classrooms, which is 8 of them, 2 times per month per their IP, they're to get social skills groups. So those behavior specialists go in the classrooms and provide social skills group to those groups of students to help develop those skills needed to be successful in school and out of school. So also, our mental health therapist this year worked with 65 total students. And she was able to dismiss 29 students. And by the end of this year, her final number, at the end of this year, she's currently working with 36 students. And there's students coming over the summer to work with her also. Along with that, our school psychologists have been very busy this year. They have completed and are still doing evaluations over the summer. So far they've completed 66 school education evaluations. And so what that looked like is 4 of those students did not qualify. 17 students qualified under what we call other health impairments, which those are students that might have chronic health issues such as ADHD, diabetes. 13 students were identified with autism, 17 specific learning disability, 12 emotional disturbance, 1 multiple disabilities, 1 brain injuries, and another one was intellectually delayed. So we run the gamut of students that we're supporting here at Littlestown. And thank you for supporting our programs, that we could support our students and support our teachers to be able to teach the students and so they could focus on instruction. Are there any questions?
Wayne, ladies to stand first. Go ahead.
I have a question. Carolyn, would it be too much work for you when you do these presentations to give like a sheet with all that on there to us?
I was just gonna ask the same.
So
send some kind of,
It'd be great because I'm trying to write down all your figures like, and you were going boom, boom, boom. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind,
we could send that out to you.
thanks. Thank you.
So you said 6 years ago you surveyed what they needed. That was literally at the beginning of COVID. So that was to find out what they needed during COVID, right?
No, not necessarily, because all this came about before COVID. It's just COVID happened and then the money came and we were able to support the teachers' needs in this fashion. So it wasn't because of COVID. This was because if I go back, oh my goodness, 10, 12 years ago, when we started the program, the need was there. So it wasn't just right after COVID, like COVID was.
I mean, ESSER's funds came because of COVID. Kids get through that. So you're saying nothing's improved. I'm not saying they're not doing a good job. I'm saying nothing's improving. We still need, what you're saying is we still need.
Sure, because there's still behaviors, there's still anxiety, there's still depression, there's still a lot of family concerns our students are coming with, a lot of poverty in our area. This area is known for a lot of families with one parents who have died for some reason. This, where we live, we have one single parent families because of death. So it is an area where students are seeing a lot and going through a lot of concerns. So the need is still there.
Any other questions for Dr. Bayless?
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to take notes as fast as you. It was a great presentation. A lot of really good information. So thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. You said that we had 8 students in the autism, between autism, emotional support, and there was one other that you spoke about, and I didn't get that.
So 12 students were identified with autism. Is that what you're asking?
You were going down the list, 58 students at the elementary behavior specialist.
Oh, your behavior specialist.
Right, 30 for the high school secondary behavior specialist, and then 8, and you said for the autism, emotional support, and then there was one other.
That's the intensive learning support students. Those are students who are considered supplemental because the majority of their math and reading instruction is in a learning support classroom. They don't go out into regular ed for learning in math and other areas.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes. Dr. Fiaski, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I can ask it. Is the other districts, do you know, struggling with the same issues that we are, that they need the same support that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, other districts, so I know Kanawag is looking for a behavior specialist. They have, like, True North might come in, or I think Red Lion has a mental health clinic in their buildings that do that. So it's out there, yes.
Thank you.
And another thing I want to share, just totally different, is, so I've been around a long time, in this district a long time, so I've seen a lot of things. So hearing this presentation for the reading program is it's very good for us. It's good teaching strategies. I'm an elementary person, so hearing the things that they're doing is just good reading instruction. So it's pleased to see that. And being on the other side of special ed and seeing evaluations and where students do have gaps, this is going to help support starting at kindergarten. So we have less students needing my services, because we don't want more students in special ed, we want less. So the reading program, it's very good. That's all.
Any other questions?
We'll test that theory.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Fiaski. Dr. Naylor.
Good evening. Just to give you a highlight of what the tech department's been working on the last week, as well as what's on the plate this week. A little different report for you guys, but this is just about what we do at this time of the year from a technology standpoint. Last week, it was the process of taking all the 9th grade and senior iPads, making sure that all the data is wiped from them. The MDM, that's mobile device management systems, wiped from them and prepared then to go out to a reseller, which is boxed and ready for pickup tomorrow. Today started new iPad enrollment. So that's the new iPads that the board approved for kindergarten, 3rd grade, as well as a refresh with regards to 6th grade and 10th grade students. So that's where we are right now with 500 plus devices, enrolling those devices and getting them prepared so that they can be handed out to students in August from a secondary standpoint, or coming down here next month with the carts in the classroom and preparing those carts after the elementary admin team has decided where those kiddos will nest from a homeroom standpoint and have those devices ready to go for those students when they arrive at the start of the year in their classrooms. Another project we're working on is with Gettle and their project manager and scheduling the ACES cameras. We had a meeting with them last week. So that's going to be on the calendar as well here, upcoming here, the month of June. That concludes my report.
Dr. Naylor, any questions?
Um,
Ms. Bayless.
We did hear from an individual in regards to purchasing a used, I believe it was an iPad that was still locked in our system, locked with our system. Do you know, was anyone able to help that person?
I believe we were able to help that. When you say purchase, that would be something that we would have to.
They didn't purchase it from us, but
On eBay or something.
apparently it was one of our pieces of equipment that was locked with our system.
Yeah, we were able to.
You were able to help.
release. Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Naylor. Dr. Berryman.
So you've heard everybody pretty much report on how they're closing out the school year and then starting into the next school year. We started today as an admin team with our summer retreat. We did 4 hours this morning on AI, really focusing on the adult Google AI tools that we can use for more efficiencies and effectiveness in each of our roles. And then for some people, just exploring what does that look like in my role, like in transportation or the business office, just some of the tools that they could use. So we had somebody come in from the IU that was a great presentation, gave us a lot of real world examples that we can use. Then we spent the afternoon really just starting high level of thinking about what our goals are going to be for next year. So we're closing out our goals for this year and starting to think about, okay, where do we want to move for next year? So we did some high level, just thinking about that and brainstorming. Tomorrow morning, we are leaving here bright and early at 6:30. Don't anybody be late for the bus. We are going to the War College. We'll be spending the day up there doing leadership enhancement. We'll have a tour while we're up there. Then we're going to do some team building activities. And then we should arrive back here tomorrow night, 6:30, 7, something like that. And then on Wednesday, Eric is going to lead us through some safety topics, just getting the whole team up to date on some of the safety topics that maybe we have some gaps in. So that's going to round out our retreat. And then throughout the summer months, we'll continue working on our goals and what our vision is for next year. That's my report.
Any questions for Dr. Berryman? Thank you very much. Mr. Shoemaker.
All right, so my update's mostly going to recap what the last long FPS committee. So it's going to be a brief update just to remind the full board of what was decided at the FPS and what was still left to be decided, hopefully per discussion tonight. So just a brief update. So we did talk a lot about athletics. So girls wrestling was decided to be a district cost. Boys and girls lacrosse would move forward as a pay-to-play model. And the high jump pit and uniform cycle are within the budget for next year. And then for staffing, we did reduce the one LPN position, and we added, this was a long time ago, they added that elementary autistic support classroom for a one teacher, one teaching assistant. 2 items that we still need to address is the transportation, which I have updated information. Per Laura, she was able to hear back from Christ. So obviously we had the request to add additional route, which is that 68,000 we talked about last meeting. In addition to that, we were looking at options through a monitor option. So one through Christ and one through internal. So from a Christ standpoint, that's going to be higher than the additional route. So if we looked at 3 monitors to address those 3 buses, it's $144.82 per day. So through those 3 monitors through the 175 days, that's over $76,000. So that's more than the regular transportation route. If we look at internal monitors, that looks like around just shy of $5,000 for typical routes, around 2 hours. If we focus just on elementary, I think that's the start of the focus. Would just be on elementary to start with. And then if it needs to be secondary, that was kind of the discussion. That'd be about $5,000 or just shy of $15,000 to do 3 monitors internally on those buses, if that's an option the board wants to look at. So those are some of the numbers. Just from context, I did talk to Laura. She was saying she wanted to inform the board that they did trial run monitors on one of the buses through Christ. There was no cost to the district. The Christ needed to see if they could support their bus driver. The monitor did help on that bus. And shortly after the monitor left, some of the issues rearose. So we would look at a full year monitoring system. So I think there's questions about, could we do it for a short term, correct the behaviors or correct the problems and then take it away? I think we kind of trial run that this year, and we're not necessarily thinking that's going to be a solution for next year. So that's just to hear about the financials about that. And then obviously tonight, the discussion about a real estate tax increase, we were between 0% and 2%. And you'll see on the agenda when we get to it that there's an option A and an option B. The hope is tonight to be able to go through with one option for a full board to select, if possible. If not, then we will move forward with an option A and option B for next week for the board to vote on. And that concludes my report.
Did I hear wrong? Did you say the autism room with one teacher and one teaching assistant?
2 teaching assistants.
Okay, I thought I heard
If I
one
said
teaching
that, I
assistant.
yes.
Okay,
1 teacher, 2.
okay.
Any questions for Tom?
Okay, Tom, can you clarify this, please, on the transportation? You said 144.82 times 176 days. Was that for 3 of them?
Yes, for 3 buses, 175 days, and $144.82 per day.
It's 3 buses, it's 1 route.
3 of the buses we were looking to address through the 1 route. If you remember, we were trying to move students from 3 buses across
Oh, you're saying instead of doing the 1 route, we do the 3. Okay.
monitors to address the
I thought the
behaviors
3
on.
buses included middle school, high school.
No, so they would be,
All right, okay.
remember there were several in elementary we would look to address. So yeah, there's
Gotcha.
3 that are high capacity that would be the ones we would look to target.
And on the internal, what was the total figure for that? How many buses?
15,000.
5,000 per bus.
5,000 per bus,
So,
per year?
so that would be for, yes, for the whole year for 175. So
So that'll be $15,000 total.
The whole year.
Obviously a whole lot less than.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So just some of the struggle is then being able to hire people internally for those positions.
And it stated that it worked really well, according to Laura Mace.
So it worked while the monitors were on there. The request is to have a full year monitor. I think last time there's comments of maybe we just do it for a couple weeks for correct behaviors, and then we can kind of reduce those monitors. I think during that trial run, when we removed those behaviors rearose. So we would request to do a full year, at least this upcoming year, and then we can strategize maybe moving forward how we can address that in subsequent years.
And this would be limited to 3 buses, so it'd be 3 routes. Are we going to be okay with the rest of the routes?
So right now, that's just kind of the request. We have those 3 options. We can do a regular transportation route. That would be a more breaking it up in holistic view. Price transportation, I think the monitoring, I think that doesn't make financial sense. But we brought those numbers, and then internally, we can look at that as a short-term fix to then mitigate it from a long-term perspective, maybe next year.
We're just 3 because they were the fullest buses.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would look at just elementary. If we were looking at a secondary, that cost would increase or double because we would double the amount that the people would ride on those buses.
And Jeannie, to my point, I was just making sure that if we did 3 buses, we wouldn't have to be doing 3, 4 more.
Right.
That's why I was asking. To make sure if we did set that was our decision, that we weren't going to have to go into 3 or 4 more buses beyond that.
We'll have that discussion as the year progresses, but right now I think 3 is what we're looking to address.
Very good. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you for getting, and to Laura even for getting the information. That was quick.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. All right, we're going to jump into the review of next week's agenda. Go ahead, Steve, with finance.
Okay, so we've had a couple of long committee meetings. So I'm pretty much just going to put it out there. Does anybody have any questions on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J? And bring it up because we've had a lot of information. We have a lot of time to process things. We've had a lot of discussion, and we should be able to relatively move through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's a couple big ticket things that we'll go through. We'll start with tax and stump. Your A on the list. Do you want to say anything about your terms of engagement?
Yeah, it's same terms, slight increase to the rates. These are the same rates that have gone to all of our clients. So I think it's about a 3.5% rate, but otherwise the overall structure remains the same, and we're happy to continue to serve the district if you would like.
I think that we're a lot more special than all of your other clients. So I think there's so
That's different.
Any questions for Dave?
I don't know if it's necessarily for Dave, but I mean, Dave, you're here at our work sessions. But I would like to see us to have a solicitor at our work sessions and at least our regular sessions. I think that we really need to have somebody here for both meetings. I've said this several times, but I would like to see it. I know it costs us more money, but I would like to see Dave twice a month, not just once. If able, or if not, maybe you could send an associate.
Sure. I mean, that's entirely.
That's something we as a board would have to vote
I'm
on.
not in the business of putting myself out of business, but I do recognize there's a cost for that, and sometimes it's not a necessary cost. So, if you guys want, we can figure out what that looks like. That's entirely up to you guys.
Can I ask why?
I just think it's important that he's here for discussions that are needed. Questions.
So that would double our fee.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think it's imperative. I think it's important.
Percent higher fee.
Maybe he'll give us a bulk discount. Become twice a month instead of once.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
All right.
I'd also, I don't know, are we going down to each item?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that. So the ACTI purchase, there was little bit of an update provided. Sean Eckenrode had sent these documents out a little while ago. Now's a good time to ask any questions. Steve's the JOC chair. So are there any questions about the land purchase that's on the agenda?
Did they look at the hack building that they're moving out of right there?
The JOC in the past has looked at that, and it has a lot of environmental and wetland issues that make it not possible to consider that site.
Is that why Hack's leaving?
Sorry?
Is that why Hack is moving out of that building?
I don't know why. I just know why the JOC did not consider that building after all the information that came to us.
Do you know if they're considering it if they were considering it to build onto it, or were they just considering moving into the existing?
It's too much work to get it to where it would be what we need, and the money would be spent better in another project. I mean, I came into the JOC and some decisions were already pretty much made from the last board, but they looked at it. I mean, write up your questions and I'll send them to Sean till the end of this month because he retires, and Tony, and we could recap everything that the JOC did. I believe it's on their minutes that you could look at too.
Yeah, that would probably be good in terms of questions. If the questions come up throughout the week, send them to Steve for him to get to Sean. And if needed, Steve will present those before the vote on Monday.
So Tuesday night, Al had mentioned that the plan is to get the land, build this building, and then just the current 7 programs be in there for a while. Is that something they've been discussing?
There's a lot of open discussion about once the land is secure, and then you know exactly what your building site's going to look like. And then you're going to look at the size of your programs. There's talk about programs that are existing in the existing Gettysburg site and alternate programs. That it's very fluid right now. And please give me your questions and I will send it to the board leadership or the admin and get those discussions
We
going.
don't know if it's that they're going to build this building and then
This
for a
time-
while it'll be
This time, our main focus is concentrating on the land. Because there's a lot of grant money that's supposedly going to be coming with grant money with the land. And the land is already going to be purchased by all the districts, and we're not going into debt. There's no debt service for that. We've already raised the money for it through the participating districts.
I know that Sean has come before and there hasn't been as much questioning because there really wasn't anything on the table. It's just kind of the same updates that we'd heard multiple times. Would it be helpful if we asked the admin or Steve to reach out to Sean to see if he could be present on Monday to answer any questions?
Steve,
Could ask.
Steve could just ask our questions, bring it to us.
But if we do that, then it's going to require, you guys are going to have to make sure, be diligent to send questions before Monday.
Thank you.
I just ask my questions. I don't have to send them. He knows them.
All right, anything else on the ACTI purchase? All right, C is approval of the budget. We have two options listed as Tom had stated. Now would probably be a good time to go through, Tom, the ins and outs of what, so let's talk about the transportation. First of all, let's talk about it's probably easier just to talk about the route first, because if the route's a yes, then the monitors really aren't necessarily a discussion. So how does the board feel about the additional route for the general ed? Do we want to keep that, want to put that in or not?
I don't, I would like, I mean, it's a lot, there's a big cost difference right now, so I would like to see just add the 3 monitors in. Let's see how it goes. If we need
That's
them
what we already.
That's my thought.
I thought we already decided that on Tuesday that we'd rather.
I did too.
We didn't know.
I mean, we wanted some stuff to come back, but
Donna?
I would be comfortable with, going with the 3 monitors and see how that works.
Okay, so no to the route, yes to the 3 monitors,
Yes.
internal.
Me too.
Same thing. Wayne?
Monitors.
yeah.
Okay, that's the direction. That was the 2 major things, right?
Yep, just have the tax increase and then which option, if any, was the transportation, yeah.
And then in terms of the tax increase, do we want to have options on the agenda on Monday? Or do we want to eliminate one of the options tonight?
I think it'll be a clearer, cleaner 2 options and people just go one or the other.
Just the caveat with 2 options. I'll have 2 options with the homestead farmstead because it is contingent upon what tax increase we select. So warning, that'll be an option 1 and option 2 with the homestead farmstead in conjunction with the 0 and a 2.
Then the homestead is there. We do that every year. That's from the state. That's basically passed through us. And there'll be 2 options depending on that.
Hey, next, just a quick question. Is there a way to get the tax increase moved to letter A?
The
So we
budget.
can have, so we can have more of a fruitful discussion with the remaining things underneath.
Okay. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
We'll just have the homestead farmstead right after, so
That's
that's
fine, sure.
1, 2.
I just think the conversation make it more fruitful and, at that point.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
letter E is this is normally something that's done every year, but it's the ask to move. It's like a placeholder so that in the fall, there's the option to transfer any surplus funds to the capital reserve. Do you want to sort of give the rationale on your part for that, Tom?
This is solely from an auditor perspective. We need to have it approved by the board prior to June 30th close so that we are eligible in the fall at the end of the audit if there would be a chance and the board would want to choose to move the money from general fund to capital reserve. We are allowed to because it has been board approved prior. We just set the rate in the fall. That's solely the purpose of this. So we're allowed to. If we miss that, then we could not do that. We would have to go about a different fashion.
All right, thank you for explaining that because just last month, there was board item to move money from the capital reserve to the general fund. So
It was to stop the transfer of general fund money from going to the capital reserve.
super clarifying.
Yep.
Any other questions on that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Tom, if we don't approve that E,
Mhm.
what happens to the money?
It would just remain in the general fund.
Which I think would be a better idea.
The board is able to remove it. It's just a standard item we put in case we want to in the fall through the audit. The board has the ability to remove it at any time.
Well, and if I heard Tom right, it gives you the option to do it.
Correct.
You still have to vote for that transfer in the fall, but if you don't approve this, you don't have that option, is what I heard Tom.
Correct.
Not an amount. It's not a definite.
Yeah, so the amount's subject to the audit. So if we get no funds to be able to move, we never execute on this option.
Now, the audit drives everything on this. You're just giving it a placeholder to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to have that option.
Yeah, and so that's where the wording, the amount to be determined in the fall. So when the audit comes through in about October, November, we have a better placeholder. Then the board decides the allocation of those funds. Generally, that's in the November FPS committee meeting.
My one issue with this, Tom, is should they decide to do this? If you decide to raise taxes and it comes back that we have extra money and then we're moving it, any chance that the taxpayers, residents see that we're moving it in the capital reserves, it's not going to look good because we've already done that last year and the year before and the year before. And then we always come back to our budget and say, well, we're in a deficit, we need money. See, that's the problem I'm having. It's the visual part that people see that we're basically having a blank check and we're saying, well, it may or may not happen. But the problem is, in my opinion, it shouldn't happen at all because it seems like every time we do this, and we've done it every year, it doesn't look good on us because we ask the taxpayers, hey, can you give us 2%? Can you give us 1%? And they're like, what do you mean? And then later on, when the audit's done, we just slide that money over into capital reserves. Nobody knows the wiser because it's in the fall, it's in December, it's in late, way past the budget vote. And I just think it's a bit disingenuous to keep doing that. That's my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, and the board has the authority to vote this up or down, just like last month.
Correct.
Everybody had the authority to, when it was recommended to stop money going from the general fund to the capital reserve. And you and other board members voted to continue the money going from the general fund to the capital reserve.
Exactly.
So,
You did vote for that, Dwayne.
Vote for what?
You voted for it to continue
Yeah, you voted for
You're
continues contradicting.
against.
No, I voted for
You
it.
did exactly.
you voted for it to.
No, I voted for us not to continue trying to cover up our deficit.
No, you voted.
That's not
No.
true.
You voted for it.
You voted for it to continue going from the
voted-
general fund to the capital. reserve.
Yeah, well, that's where it was originally supposed to go, though.
But if we have excess money and you're saying that we're being disingenuous every year by putting excess money in there, then your vote doesn't make any
Okay,
sense.
so last year when I argued maybe 5 times, maybe 6, that you should move to 3.2 million and everybody laughed at me, everybody joked, and including Carl and everybody voted to move it. I said it 50 million times, don't move it, don't move it.
We were, then why'd you vote?
I voted
What
against
changed?
it. I
What
voted
changed from
against it.
then? In your mind?
Well, I mean, we moved 3.2 million, it's stuck there. That's my point. Why would we want to move another million there?
We weren't moving another million.
No, we were stopping another
No,
million
but
from
what I'm
going
saying
there.
is, why do we want to keep moving money into capital reserves?
We
That's
didn't,
what
you
we're
did,
asking you.
No,
Why
I
did you
said
vote?
we wanted
You
3.2
voted.
million. I voted against moving.
but you did.
No.
I
Anyway,
voted against
that's, it's in the minutes. People can go back and look at the
I
minutes.
voted against moving the 3.2 million.
You voted
I voted
to
against it.
continue moving another million though.
Yes, that's
Well, because
exactly.
we were using it
You
not to pay our
voted,
deficit.
No, that's not
you
true.
voted to move, continue.
But in the
moving
general fund.
To capital
So Nick-
reserve.
You
Yeah.
move it along.
So the rest of the agenda, items F through I on finance, property and supply, those are not the big ticket budget items or anything. Those are the standard incidental. So does anybody have any questions on the rest of it?
I do.
What's your question?
On G, correct me on this. I've read the contract. Is this a free, absolute fee-free contract?
Carolyn, the SAP, which True North.
Yes, there's no charge.
There's no charge. Okay, and also, thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Piastri. Tom, on H, when you click on it, it comes to a bank statement. Interstate Facility Services Agreement, comes to a treasurer's report, I'm sorry. Treasury report. And when you click on the link, comes to treasury.
Miss link one. Let me click one.
It'll be corrected by next Monday.
It says double link, so yes, I can correct that.
Any other questions on finance? All right, under personnel, item A. Somebody say something?
I was gonna, but you're pretty quick tonight.
Well.
Can I ask you real quick?
Yeah, of course.
So there was under the True North documents, there was an item in here that said that there would be a fee list of fees attached if needed for the future, but it wasn't included in the list of fees wasn't included in the document.
You don't pay. I didn't receive a list of fees. There's no list of fees.
I think it's only included, Donna, if we're paying for any of the services and we're not.
Okay.
It's for them to man.
Is there any possibility in the future that we might need to pay for the fees?
That would be a separate contract if we thought we needed them for something, but
Okay, so, okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Under personnel, item A is approval to grant permission to the acting superintendent and or the approved superintendent to advertise the positions. This is the yearly annual approval for that. However, based on the board's feedback from last month, we made that teaching and support personnel positions. So that does not improve administration. Any questions on that?
One question.
Go ahead.
I did read it and it says board will finalize approval at the regular meeting. Specifically, would that be the one when we come back? Let's just give a date or a month.
It'll be at the following regular meeting to when the hire is made. So we have, if needed, meetings in July. If there are between next week and the July meeting, if there are things that happen then that the superintendent would approve, then we'll ratify them at that time. Like it's similar from that meeting to August 17th. We'll do the same process.
Okay, so as long as we don't have an extra meeting, which is approve the hires in August.
Correct.
Right.
Other than that, standard personnel report. Are there any questions? All right. Under CCMP, we have first and final readings of the policies that the committee's reviewed. We have the nurses standing orders, the Alloway Creek disposal list, and the 26-27 student handbooks. Any questions on the CCMP items?
Couple.
Janelle?
First is the dress and grooming for pupils, under policy 221. We as a board, all saw the email from the person who attended the award ceremony, and shared the inappropriate attire. I just think if we have this, we need to be following through with it. We have a dress code, so our administrators need to be making sure that our students are dressed appropriately. No pieces hanging out. 707, just a quick, I have two things. First one, what if a new organization wants to use our baseball and softball fields? I don't know if that's your question, if that's a Jeff question.
either one of us can take it. So if you step in where I'm missing. So if it's a new organization, if it's one of our youth sports, they would fall under our category 1, which is no charge to our youth sports. They're one of the exceptions or exemptions. If they are a club organization, they might fall into a category 2, depending on how many of their kids or participants are Littlestown versus non-Littlestown students. And then if category 3 is really for a profit organization, like your club travel teams and things like that, who have a mix, the majority are not necessarily Littlestown kids and it's for profit, then they would fall under category 3.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and just one more thing, under the policy, it does share that there's prohibited activities, says no gambling, games of chance, etc. But what if some organizations want to do raffles? Do they need permission ahead of time and what would it look like?
They go through the small game of chance. Like some of our youth organizations have the small game of chance
Yeah.
licenses, and that's cleared through the athletic department.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I do need to point something out. We kind of, after the 4-hour plus finance meeting, did go through this really quickly. I do want to point out something else, and I want to make sure the board knows, because if we need to make a change, I need to make it for next week. The PSBA policy that came out did not mention anything about Sundays. So in our current policy, you always approve if we're going to do something on Sundays. You can keep it out that we don't need to approve participation on our fields on a Sunday. Like, we would still approve it through FMX, of course, but you would have the option of not having to need it go through the board. Or you could have it go through the board if, like, anything after 12, they don't need your permission, but if for some reason they need it before 12. So you have a couple of different options. And I apologize, I should have said this on Tuesday night when we were together, but the PSBA does not have a Sunday stipulation as far as the limitations. So you do need to make a decision on what you want to do with that.
I'm trying to think of who would be the longest administrators. Dr. Naylor and Dr. Fiaski. Can you remember a time in all the board meetings you've attended over the years that the boards voted down a Sunday request?
First, we have to continue that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct. So, yeah. Typically, I think that they're always approved. It's just sort of a rubber stamp thing. We never really deliberate, or, I mean, it's just, if it's passed along from our administration to us, they've vetted it. They know what facilities need to be used. I think that we trust their judgment as to when is an appropriate timing and all of that sort of thing for it to be approved. The biggest problem that I've seen over the years is a Sunday request that gets submitted too late and doesn't make the board agenda.
Yeah.
And then those people are at a disadvantage. I personally think, and I'm all about board oversight and governance and the board doing its governance role and exercising its authority that way. I personally I see more value in not having that as a part of the policy for us to be required to approve that than making that a required board approval.
I just wanted to make sure you guys knew. Yeah.
It's a local choice. Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
I agree that.
Take it up.
Not having Sundays on here.
Yeah, you all okay with that?
No.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other?
No, I got an answer. I got one coming up. but-
I have more
Okay.
too. Sorry, I had a couple on it for.
Good.
Next on 611. I know I brought that back from our committee. Mainly because of the whole tractor discussion at the finance meeting. So if the majority of the board wants to keep it at the 15 that it was raised to at the committee, I'm fine with whatever. I just wanted to send it back to see if anyone else had any discussion. Should we lower it back to what it was, which I think was 11.8, just under 12, or was it 12?
11 under 12.
Under 12. Keep it at 15, make it lower. I don't know. Just to get more discussion.
Was that already in the works before the whole tractor thing came
That
up?
was a PNN that
It was the same evening, I believe.
PSB.
It was it was just the timing when the PNN came out through PSBA. It was an update that they pushed out.
PSBA recommended 24.5. Committee
Wow.
reduced it to 15.
Which was insane.
It's currently an 11.8.
Wasn't a conspiracy to.
It really
approve
was
the
not. It
tractor?
was just the way it was just the way it happened. And it was the policy that we had ready because the PNN came out and, so.
I agree with Janelle. I think the board optics, from a board standpoint, is that we have to approve, in my opinion, a lot of these items. I think we should keep it as low as possible. I think we should keep it as low as possible for this reason. If we are budgeting for 11 individual departments, if we're finding that they're able to go spend $15,000, they're shorting somewhere else, or we're giving them too much money. And I think that just gives a very bad appearance. I think a lot of this stuff should go to the FPNS and be approved by the FPNS, moved to the full board and then approved. Because you're talking about $15,000 here. How many times are we gonna have a $15,000 item to where they just buy it and then it comes to us to pay for it in the general fund? So I agree with Janelle on that. I just think raising it is the wrong direction to go.
Something we talked about last week, that we wanted to get Dave's approval or thoughts on was that there could be different interpretations of this meeting and the policy. All purchases that are within budgetary limits will be what we're looking for clarification on. So the two interpretations that we have out there are, one of them being any purchase that is that specific purchase, say a lawnmower. If that specific purchase was budgeted for, like that item within the budget for that amount, that falls within this policy. The other interpretation is any purchase that is within, if we're giving all of the departments a dollar amount, as long as they stay within their dollar amounts, it's up to their discretion to buy their need, whatever they feel they need within that budget. So that's sort of the board's interpretation versus the administration's interpretation, and we wanted to get you to weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, big picture, what I see with clients interpreting this, I believe it's that if it's within the total budget, they can spend up to that amount, right? So a perfect example, not to pick on special education, but say if a new student comes into the district, they need a certain device, communication device or whatever, you have this threshold that's within the special ed budget. You didn't previously line item that expenditure, but it's within the budget to spend that up to that dollar threshold. That's how I interpret that.
Oh, so you're saying not that the lawnmower was in the budget, but they had the money to buy a lawnmower in their budget?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
so
it's
you're
under
letting
that.
them spend their budget whether it's necessary or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Oh, to your point.
unless the contemplated purchase is more than $15,000. So to me, so does that mean just using the lawnmower as a reference? If that lawnmower, that's $17,000 item. So that particular item, say that the facilities department had $20,000 remaining in their budget, and they wanted to buy the $17,000 lawnmower. Does that meet the threshold of the policy or not?
The policy is 15,000.
Well, it's under, so I presume then Tom and the administration would come and say, hey, we need your approval because it's over the threshold, but it will come out of our budgeted funds.
We presume the same thing. Didn't happen.
But if it's under the threshold, then I assume it wouldn't have to come.
It was over the threshold.
It was over the threshold. That was the problem.
I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
I feel like you're setting me up for something here.
Just using that as reference point. You can name any expense. But
So you're saying if it's under the threshold and the budget, and the money's there in the budget, they can do it, but if it's over the
That's how
threshold.
I would.
so it would still be if the expense itself, if it wasn't line item, but it's under the budget, if it's under the 15 and it's within their budget, they can do it. If it's over the amount, whether that line item was, or if that line item wasn't there. So I think that our interpretations are aligning. Even
Yeah,
with
I
the
think
admin, I think that we're all
So they should have told us.
on the same page.
You should have voted on it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the question comes, how many times can they do that $15,000 move? I mean, let's say they do it once.
Yeah, but PSBA wanted 24.5.
Well, that I think aligns with the bidding thresholds. That's where they came up with that number. That's not out of, you know, basically if it's below that level bidding thresholds, you can spend up to that within. That prevents you from an expenditure, a budgeted expense that's above the bidding thresholds when you should have been, right? Something like that.
But even if we take it down to 11.8 where it was, it's still the same problem. Even if it goes down to 11.8, it's still the same thing.
More reasonable at 11.8.
with
And we can-
rising costs.
Well, and we can try to
So
prove
do you-
ourselves. We need to prove ourselves to the public.
Okay, but we didn't know they bought a lawn
I
mower.
I got you. But I'm saying because of that, unfortunately, because of past practice, whether it was out of our hands or not, unfortunately, because of past practice, I think we owe it to the public to prove that we are responsible, fiscally appropriate with the money, and put this policy at, and I jumped in on you, I'm sorry, at 11.8. At 11.
So are we kicking it
Which is what
back
it used, which
to
is
the-
what it used to be.
That would be the board's option next week, is if they want a modification, you
So come with
can,
an
you can
amount.
make well, if you want a modification, you can make a motion to table it, send it back to the committee to go back through the process.
So we can't just change the amount for next week,
No, because this is on for a final approval.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not a first reading.
like the finance committee, not our?
We're the policy committee.
I usually attend if there's finance questions.
Okay, well then,
You attend it, you attend all the
Now,
time.
now, but I used to only attend when there's.
Would, yes.
okay then,
On Don's
next week,
point,
make a motion to table. Not
if
tonight.
if
You
we,
can't do it.
Unless you-
and I'm just keep using the lawnmower, I'm sorry. But on Donna's point, if we circumvent the process, we do not give the taxpayers and residents the chance to come to that podium and say, you don't need a new lawnmower. See, that we are circumventing the public's ability to come in here and rule and go against it. And maybe if 20 people show up and say, look, we're not going to buy a lawnmower, we have to reconsider it. And that's my point.
I don't think that anyone's attempting on the board to circumvent.
No, I didn't say
the
us.
process.
I'm just saying we don't want to.
We don't want to circumvent the process.
Mm-mm.
We have to balance the oversight and governance role with the oversight and governance role. We're there to provide oversight. We're not there to micromanage every penny that's spent, because that's just not feasible for a board of 9 people to do. So again, it's the same theory for why in a building project, there's a change order amount that the superintendent can authorize, but if it's over that, the board has to approve. So I think that we're on the same page. I don't want there to be any public perception that the board is trying to circumvent.
I didn't mean it that way.
Or change any
No, I didn't mean it that way.
policy to be not transparent.
No, I said, I don't want the public to perceive us as circumventing. I didn't say we were doing it.
Any other questions on PCMP?
One more. Just.
You're running out of questions.
Had new business, I could bring it up then. Handbook.
Exactly.
Under the surveys, so I do appreciate the link being there, so thank you for adding that. For the opting out of any surveys for our students. I didn't see one in ACES, but I'm assuming there's not really any surveys in ACES happening or going on. And I want to make sure that.
They added it to ACE.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see it today. Okay, that's all right. If it's there.
We'll double check.
I will.
I'm pretty sure, okay.
Thank you. But I just want to make sure that it's not that the families and parents, guardians can opt out at the beginning of the year, but they can opt out at any time during the year.
Well, our handbooks are linked and live. So when we send out, so I'll just run for the pay survey. So when we go to administer that, a few weeks before, we'll be putting out social media posts to let parents know that that survey is coming out. And so those forms are always available, linked on our webpage.
Okay.
So they're live all throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
And then once the board approves the handbooks, then we upload the new ones onto the site.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's all my questions. But did you have another one? Did you have one, Donna?
I do. I have two.
Go ahead.
So can whoever would like to answer this is fine with me. How do we handle when we have a family or multiple families that don't have internet? So in regards to these handbooks that are online and all sorts of things that are online nowadays, how do we handle that?
That is a Dr. Naylor.
Okay.
I can say building level, we have them printed out, available for any
Yeah.
student or parent to come pick up at the office.
And then we also have, we still have hotspots,
Yeah.
do we not, Dr. Naylor? Yeah.
Provide a hotspot for that family.
Pretty good. And something to use a hotspot with, like.
Well, they have their straight device.
Ads on their Chromebooks.
Okay, that's good.
Any other questions?
One more.
I do, I have one more, but it's, it's on the Alley Creek inventory list. I was wondering why, I know it's every year we need to get rid of things and make room for new and improved. I get that. But it seems like in this particular list, there's a lot of inventory to remove. There's a lot of things that items in here that I would necessarily keep, like there's a ton of material in here, all different material for Wilson. I don't know why we're getting rid of that. Maybe we have new Wilson coming in to take its place. In addition to that, we have some books that I would consider pretty good, like there's a lot of history in here, Voices of the Civil War and the War of 1812. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have reasons to why you chose these particular items. America's Early Settlers, American Revolution, the Civil War. And we're getting rid of dictionaries, Merriam-Webster dictionaries. Maybe we have new ones, and maybe, I'm sure there's a reason. I just don't know what it is, and I was just curious.
Yeah, so the list of information, part of when I came down to Alloy 3 years ago was this flux of, if you remember, and Don, I can't remember 100% for sure if you were there in August, when I had a purge at the beginning of the school year on the timeline. So some of this goes back. So there's just been a lot of materials that are over there from the Rolling Acres days.
Okay.
That the boxes, meaning once they make the move, they realize they didn't need those resources anymore, but they've just been housed. So on the list this year, too, we did a preliminary purge in August of some items that ranged from, 1984 to 2016, for that. So we did another purge here at the end of the year, and the purge expectation was anything that's not being used, that's outdated, and it's really collecting dust on the shelf. So all the information that's there are items that are no longer being used directly in our day-to-day instruction. And obviously, most of that information is 2020. So we saw some 1954 stuff on there. So there's just been a plethora of stuff that's been housed in that building forever. We're limited on space. We're not using it for direct instructional purposes. We're looking to purge that information to whether it's to go to be resold and something could be gained out of it, or 1954. I love 1954, but I'm not for sure if there's too much value that's going to come from that. It's a specialized market of people who would be interested in those types of texts. Some of the materials also have outdated information.
Yeah.
Even like we did a lot at the high school, keep in mind, like they all have devices in their hands, you don't need a dictionary. Like they all have it right in front of them at any given time. So just the world of, I need an actual in-my-hands dictionary looks a little different than it used to. So a lot of these things that maybe we did in high school because we were doing our construction and making space is replicable in other ways. That's more functional for kids with the technology that we put in their hands.
There's still some dictionaries over there. We use them with their ESL population. Ms. Carmen does. So it's not like we don't have dictionaries over there.
But it's replicable. It's all replicable information.
But it's not needed in our core. Correct.
And how are we replicating the Wilson materials? Or are we?
Yeah, that's a Karen.
There, I saw those Wilson materials are outdated.
Okay.
At least, and I think they came over from Rolling Acres.
Okay.
Teachers who taught at Rolling Acres, in Alloway Creek, and they brought all their stuff. So the reading program has changed over the past 32 years.
So we don't use Wilson at all anymore?
They don't use it in the general ed. We use it in special ed. Two teachers use it, but
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes the review of the regular meeting agenda. Before we go into the action items, we're going to take a brief couple-minute recess just to get our candidates situated, and we'll be right back. So we're going to, board stands in recess for just a few moments. Anyone wants to use?
Thank you for your permission.
Thank you for that.
Hey, Bradley, can you hear us?
I can.
All right.
Can you all hear me?
Perfect. Yeah. The board will reconvene. All right, well, good evening to our three candidates and everyone. On behalf of the Board of School Directors, I'd like to welcome you and thank each of you for your interest in serving the Littlestown Area School District. Serving on a school board requires a significant commitment of time, effort, and dedication to our students, staff, and community. We appreciate your willingness to step forward and be considered for this vacancy. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly review the interview procedures. All candidates will be asked the same interview questions. To ensure fairness, candidates will respond to each question in a rotating order so that each candidate has an equal opportunity to answer first throughout the interview process. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to respond to each interview question. A designated timekeeper, which is Dr. Berryman, will provide a 20-second warning that looks like this.
How do I do that for Mr. Kiefer? Can you see that?
Can you see that, Bradley?
I can.
That yellow card? Perfect.
Perfect.
She will provide a 20-second warning when 20 seconds remain. When time has expired, Dr. Berryman will indicate that time is up, and we ask that each candidate would conclude their response promptly at that point. Board members will hold all follow-up questions until the conclusion of the standard interview questions. Once all questions have been completed, each board member may ask one follow-up question of the candidates if needed for clarification. Responses to follow-up questions will be limited to 1 minute or to 2 minutes with a 20-second warning provided by Dr. Berryman. Following completions of the interviews and any follow-up questions, the board will discuss the candidates and proceed with the appointment process in accordance with the Pennsylvania School Code and board policy. All right, thank you again, and let's get started with question number 1. Why do you want to serve on the school board? And what would you bring to the position? And the first question will go to Mr. Kiefer.
Wait, I have a quick question. We need to accept
Oh, you're
the other
correct.
2 resignations
You're correct.
before we move forward.
You just said that too.
Okay.
So I got excited because everybody
I'm
was
gonna read.
ready to go. So everybody just take a brief pause. We're going to go back to letter A. Can I have a motion to accept the following resignations of Danielle Brenneman and Mary Brenneman as members of the Littlestown Area Board of School Directors?
So moved, Dwayne Sullivan.
Steve Yoder, second.
Moved and seconded. I would like to thank both Mary and Danielle for their service to the Littlestown Area School District. Thank them for their time and their dedication. We are sad to see them go, but we wish them the best of luck and everything in the future. So any other comments? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those say no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right, now back to question number 1. Mr. Kiefer, why do you want to serve on the school board and what would you bring to the position?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Apologies, I couldn't be there in person. Missed my first meeting, I think, in the last year or so. But so first off, I'm a father of 2 children in Alloway Creek. And really, as you guys have seen with my presence over the last year or so, I've been spending a lot of time doing a lot of independent analysis because a lot of my background is in financial analysis. I run a 50-person company. We manage about $45 billion in marketing budgets for a lot of consumer packaged goods products. So with that, I'm not only bringing in leadership from a business perspective, but also oversight and governance of an entire team and all of these large multi-million-dollar budgets. Combining those 2 things together, I've learned a lot about the district from a financial planning perspective through the analysis that I've done. And I think I've proven that I'm willing to show up and come with some ideas. It may not be ideas that everybody likes. They might not always be complete ideas. But what I'm coming with is ideas and solutions to start the conversation. So at this point, the district is really facing some structural deficit. And I believe, that I have some expertise that I can bring into this conversation more than just hey, I've lived in Littlestown my whole life. I haven't, right? So just be transparent. I've been here for about 3 years, but I am very much involved in the public school system, and I have been. So not only professionally do I have a lot of background that I think could be valuable, I bring solutions, but I also have a lifetime in public school and public education. Both of my parents were public school teachers. So I know a lot about what it takes to, really, be a good teacher, to really understand how to run the education system. So I really don't want a title. I really don't want a position. For me, I just want to become a voice that's helpful for my children. At the end of the day, I do this because I love my kids and I want to be the best dad that I possibly can. And I believe I can do that by representing them as a member of the board.
Thank you. Mr. Yelk.
Reset.
You need me to repeat the question or?
Yes, sir. I think I'm
Okay,
good.
perfect.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Joe Yelk. As far as why I wanted to do this, fun fact about me, I'm a 24-year military veteran, still currently serving on active duty. I actually run the unit in Gettysburg. 24 years of being in the military, you see a lot of stuff. One of my biggest takeaways of what I've done in the military is we're problem solvers. At the end of the day, we have our job. No offense to anybody in this room, but I think some of the problems that I have solved in the military and some of the conditions that I have been in, it makes the boardroom for a lot of folks. Seems like something pretty easy. So the military has been fantastic to me. The best thing that it's done for me is it's let me work with a diverse group of folks from all walks of life, especially because I'm a full-time National Guardsman. So my main reason for wanting to do this is the most intimate you can get with your community. At the end of the day, it's about our children. I have one stepson that graduated from Littlestown a couple of years ago, and I have one that's about to go into a sophomore year as well. So believe me, I hear the stories of the school buses and everything that can go wrong and everything that goes right. At the end of the day, we all need to have the same interests. I followed a little bit of, kind of what goes on in these meetings, through social media, rumors on the street. I wanted to see it for myself. Just to me, I want to be a bigger part of my community, and I want to have a stake in the future of not only my children, but your children as well. And I think if we come together with the same mindset, maybe with some compromise, I think we can get to the end state where we need to be.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold.
So I worked for a multi-million-dollar company for 20 years, managing budgets, set expectations for over 100 employees. So my experience at that level, I feeling somewhat qualified there. Also, I'm the vice president for Littlestown LBFY. My truest of hearts is the kids. There's nothing more important in this school district than our students. And that is my number one priority, regardless of my opinions on what's happening in the school district or whatnot. It's most importantly, it's for the kids, right? So I am self-employed. My schedule is pretty flexible, so I can get to the majority of these meetings and do what's best for our students.
Thank you. All right, question number 2, we'll be starting with Mr. Yelk. What do you believe is the role of a school board member, and how should the board work with the superintendent and administration?
I think a school board member is a conduit between a community and a school. I think the first word that would come to my mind is a school board member is an advocate. At the end of the day, sure, budgets are great to talk about. Contractors are great to talk about. At the end of the day, yes, those are all tools that we are using to help teach our kids. But the actual sediment of how do we advocate for kids from the educational side, I think is paramount. These two gentlemen have, the financial background. Can't say that I have the financial background, but back to my previous statements and the previous question about dynamic problem solving, I would be interested in hearing everybody's throwing this forward, where you come from, what's your background, and, kind of putting those puzzle pieces together to say, we all have a subject matter expertise in one thing. Maybe something really weird, but that's okay, because, hey, who knows, maybe we could use that. So a school board member to me, somebody who's empowered by the community and trusted by the community, that is ultimately gonna govern and not legislate necessarily, but, put these processes in place that are ultimately, at the end of the day, going to make our kids better community members, just like ourselves.
Mr. Arnold.
So as a school board, not necessarily are we going to agree on everything, but we certainly will come to a conclusion what's best for our students. So it's important that we work together to resolve some concerns and bring the policies up to our administration to enforce. I mean, it's my that's kind of simple. Simple-minded person.
Thank you. Mr. Kiefer.
Yeah, so for me, the board really is there to set policy and govern and provide direction. The superintendent's job is to execute it. And for a lot of what we've seen over the last year, those lines get a little bit blurred. And I think a board member's job is really to ask the right questions, to represent the community, to really make tough decisions at times when you have financial troubles. So, again, what our job is to do as a board is to really represent the community, hear their voices, understand the children, their perspective, and really to provide guidance and governance to the administration, and then ultimately to hold the administration accountable. The job of the superintendent is to execute not only the strategy, the philosophy that the school comes up with, the mission, but the job is to actually understand the data. Like, what is the data telling me? For me, it was alarming to hear that about 30% of our middle school students are 2 levels below the reading level that they should be, based off of, I believe it was iReady. So for me, it would be like, okay, I hear data. How are we going to work together to figure out what resources can the board approve that the superintendent could go execute, and then ultimately hold, building principals and others accountable. So I think there's a clear line of separation between governance, community representation, execution, and really just moving the ball forward when it comes to the mission of the district.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Arnold, how will you ensure that students remain at the center of board decisions?
It's our number one responsibility as a board member, make sure that our kids are getting the education that they deserve. So really we have to enforce what we have as far as policies and ensure that we stand behind what we vote on.
All right, Mr. Kiefer.
Yeah, so the way I run my business today is I really like to understand what does the day-to-day look like. So for me, it's about understanding from a student's perspective. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I have a soon to be 5th grader and soon to be 1st grader, so I hear their stories. But for me, it's really about understanding the stories of the students, getting to know what their experiences are, getting to hear some of their dreams about where the opportunities should be. And at the same time, it's really educating myself on the latest. So I was actually talking to Dr. Berryman a couple of weeks ago about some studies that are coming out and some of the theories around, like, maybe we're over-indexing on the use of technology and under-indexing on the old school methods. And where's that balance between understanding the latest and greatest and understanding how students learn? Like, how do we create that human connection in an AI computer-based world? That's something that's really going to interfere with students. But also, as they get older, I really want to understand, where do the kids want to go? Like, when you think about high school, how do we point them in the right direction? Obviously, we have ACTI. There's a lot of dialogue around getting those kids certified. But for me, it's about, like, where do the kids want to go that are going to college as well? Like, what do we do there? Yes, I know we have connection to Delaware Valley and a couple others, but like, how do we set them up to go into the professional workforce in a rapidly evolving AI-driven world that's really going to impact a lot of careers? And how do we understand how to guide the kids who want to go into the military and really start to understand those right paths? So it's starting at the beginning from an elementary perspective, guiding them down the right path, and then making sure that we truly know as a board where the students want to go. And that way we have the right resources in place for them to go. Like what we heard from the foundation earlier today. That will be really great as a husband of a scientist. My wife is all about, how do we get more science into the schools, because AI isn't going to fully replace science, as an example.
Thank you. Mr. Yelk.
It's tough going last. I'll tell you what, first time, I don't like it.
Repeat the question, because it's.
Okay.
I think he's good. Do you need the
Go ahead.
question repeated?
No, absolutely. Great answer. So in my line of work, I'm what they call readiness NCO for the Army. So basically when the commander is away, I make all of his decisions with obviously his counsel. And I always say the reason I have a job is because I have soldiers. So everybody in this room, obviously, I'd like to think your heart is in the right place. The only reason we have a job is because we have kids, whether they're our kids or somebody else's kids. And I completely agree with that. I mean, I find it kind of crazy, especially when, some people are coming through like, hey, where's the feedback from the kids? Like, anybody think about that? I mean, obviously being brand new, sitting in the back of the room, I didn't get to see one of the books. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. Looking at some of the numbers, they seem fine. How do we get to that next level? So, we talk to the kids, like very little in the folks that were guest speaking. There was some feedback, but actual specific examples of that feedback. So bottom line, it comes down to, are we talking to these kids? Are we interfacing with administrators? Are we interfacing with staff and faculty to make sure that, we're here for the right reasons, which are the kids?
Thank you. All right, question number 4. This time I believe we're back to Mr. Cooper. The district is facing budget challenges. What factors would you consider before voting for a tax increase?
Yeah, I think I've proven that with my record in the 5 minutes that I get every week and show up there to speak as a regular participant in these meetings. So doing a full analysis like I've done, I've analyzed the audits. I've started to look at where there's wasteful spend. And what I've found is that most of the dollars are actually tied up in people, tied up into CBA agreements, tied into Act 93 agreements. So there's not a lot of wiggle room. But even recently, what I've been finding is that there are areas where we could create efficiencies. So I really applaud Dr. Berryman and taking some advice from a few months ago around like finding more efficiencies by utilizing AI to actually enhance the ability for the teachers. And when you start to utilize something like AI, it allows them to not have to have as many resources. Well, the reality is that this district has a financial situation. I believe that sports are important. I believe that we're really funding them to be good enough at this point. And I think a lot of the cutting that needs to happen is really tied to some of the excess that we have from an excess spending, but a lot of it is tied up in personnel. It's unfortunate. And as a leader of an organization, every now and again, you have to make hard decisions to cut people to try to guide through a reorganization. And I know it's not always helpful, but like really doing it in a way that is mindful of the humans that those lives will be impacted. But in a district our size, most of our dollars are tied up in people. And at this stage, like there's not a lot of extra wiggle room. And again, without getting into arts and sports and things like that. So at this stage, I think a lot of it is going to be trying to find efficiencies in people, unfortunately. But I hope there's other things that I'm not exposed to as a person who's just in the public who attends meetings. That there's other things that we could recommend from a cutting perspective.
All right, thank you. I'll just read it again. If the district is facing budget challenges, what factors would you consider before voting for a tax increase?
I think one of the biggest factors I would look at is the longevity of the life cycle of your town. This town is going through some, I don't want to say crazy times right now, but the general landscape out there, obviously, everything is getting more expensive. There's houses being built, there's people moving out, there's people moving in. Obviously, I don't have not knowing the question, I don't have the absolute specifics on, what those trends are concrete, what they mean as far as revenue and dollars. I'm quite the opposite. I would rather tie money up in, people, the ones that are competent, the ones that teach our kids, that we put our faith and confidence in for 8 hours a day for, 180 days a year, whatever the, length of the school year is. Personally, I would like to see other avenues at how do you get more money from your state government? How do you get more money? How do you get more grants? Personally, I think it's criminal that, we don't spend more money on schools. I think it should never be a conversation that we have to cut it, but unfortunately we do. Like I said, prioritizing people, which prioritize our student body. Excess cuts have to be made around, let the kids pick, like, hey, like, what are we doing here that you don't like? What do you like? Obviously, we're not letting, kindergartners or, freshmen in high school, dictate what the school budget is. But, I'll find out, as a military recruiter for almost 10 years, like, you talk to kids, they'll tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they don't want. And I find it a little remiss that, we don't involve the student body in more decision-making, around budgetary constraints that school boards have.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold, if we're facing budget challenges, what factors would you consider before voting for a tax increase?
It's hard to follow Joe because he's kind of took the word right out of my mouth. It's all about the kids. It's all about listen to the students, see what they have to say. It's important that they have a voice, and we take their ideas and bring it to us and see what we can do better financially. If it means cuts on certain activities or whatnot, then that's what we're gonna have to do it, or if we have to raise the taxes, it's a burden. Unfortunately, it's a burden, but we got to do what's best for these kids. And if we got to raise taxes, we're gonna have to raise taxes. Am I an advocate for raising taxes? Absolutely not. I pay a lot of tax, but if it goes to the kids and if it's going to a good cause, the reason why we need to raise taxes, and that's our only option, then we have to do it. We can't let our kids suffer in this school district. And you certainly don't want to take away from athletics, because that's a whole nother avenue to creating adults in this world. Coming from youth organizations, it's great to see these kids mature from a young age up through high school, through athletics. A lot of kids don't like school. I have a stepson that does not like school, but he loves sports. And that's what keeps him coming back to school. That's what keeps his grades where they need to be to allow them to be successful at school.
Thank you. Number 5, starting with Mr. Yelk. If you disagree with another board member or a board decision, how would you handle it?
On day one? Or once you know them? Seen a little bit today, everybody's characters, facial expressions say everything, folks. I want you to know that right now, even from the back of the room. I can see the dynamic kind of evolving already. Any relationship involves compromise. There are some folks on this board that I'm sure are hard-headed as the day is long. I am sure there are some where, if you can talk to them the right way, you might get them to budge. Number one, you have to pretty much ask yourself, can I even change this person's mind? We live in a horrible culture nowadays where there are people that are so steadfast in their beliefs. Not always a bad thing, but maybe it is the wrong belief. Contrary to to what you may have been taught, there is a right and wrong in this world. I think it's gotten a little muddy, over the past 10 years. So, like I said, compromise and thinking about an argument methodically and divergently enough to actually talk to somebody as an adult, as a peer, not with the funny faces, not with the disparaging remarks. We're all adults in this room. Candid conversations, understanding how somebody works, and ultimately meeting in the middle. I think can do a lot of good for this world, to including the school.
Yeah. Sure. If you disagree with another board member or a board decision, how would you handle it?
So most importantly, everybody does have their own beliefs, desires, wants, and of what to bring out into the school board. So if we're disagreeing, I don't feel that it should be shown in the public eye as much as it has. Even this is my first school board meeting, and I can see there's tension. You can see it, and this isn't the place where, if we have to discuss it outside of this in executive session, whatnot, but we should not be airing our concerns against each other in the public eye. This is, this is where we make decisions for our future. So if I have to dispute with one individual, there's a discussion that has to be made, right? You can't hold grudges against people your whole life. Work through it. We all have to work together. So let's make the best of it.
Thank you. Mr. Kiefer, if you disagree with another board member or decision, how would you handle it?
Yeah, so the way that I run this in my professional life today is I have one-on-one conversations with folks on a recurring basis. One, I think it's important that people just get to know each other. I think, what we see in the board dynamic that exists today is a lot of people who were voted into a board, a lot of people who were selected into a board, and they never really got a chance to know each other. To give you a real life example, obviously I'm not on the board, but Dwayne and I have long conversations. I'm sure you all see us after the board meeting, but I think you'd be shocked to know Dwayne and I don't agree on much of anything. But, even with his emotions, I figured out a way to have a conversation with him like a human being, because at the end of the day, we're both humans. And then there's other folks on the board who I've had civil conversations with. And I believe in having civil conversations with folks, no matter what your background is. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm just an independent, like I'm a typical millennial, right? Where it's like, I don't put into a box. I just have understanding of what my values are, what matters to me. And if other people have different values, having a conversation with someone, just respecting them as another human being is important. And that shows up in my workplace. It shows up in how I run my family. And it's really important that, again, we just have human dialogue one-on-one, not in public, not in open meetings where we have to fight each other, but there can be civil, disagreements where there's things where we might just differ on opinion. And again, having a follow-up conversation is just as important as how you show up in the group setting. So again, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's about just like leading with being a human with other humans.
Thank you. Hey, we have two more questions to go. Mr. Arnold, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing our district in the next 3 to 5 years?
So our community is growing, and that means our budget needs to change. So analyzing our budget, being thorough with our budget, making sure that we're putting monies to where it needs to be to benefit the students. And we have some pretty big developments coming in. We have some older developments that won't necessarily have kids, but they're contributing towards our cause. So we just have to look at the future growth of this town and analyze and see where we could improve that budget a little better.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Kiefer. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our district in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, for me, there's two things. One, based off of the 3 to 5 year analysis that I've been advocating the district to do, and really starting to highlight the fact that our expenses are outpacing our income, and we have to rely on the government. Obviously, I agree with one of my, I don't know what you call them, like my peers here on this around like, yes, there's things that we could do to advocate to the state government, but the last thing that I want to do is hope the state government will deliver us out of this, because I just, I don't have hope in that. So one thing that I'd really say is that like understanding the financial plan of the district is important. And part of that financial plan is also just the PR. So the district right now has a PR problem. There is a lack of engagement from the community. There is a lack of trust with this district in the community. And I think a lot of that is really bleeding into the way at which people engage or don't engage with this district. So there's the financial piece, then there's like this PR piece, which I think is going to be really critical for the next superintendent to really become a part of the community, to really drive with transparency. And I know I said there's only two, but there's actually a third, which is the preparation of our students. Right now, one of the biggest things facing every future American that's coming out of school is what job will be there when I get out. And that's a reality. I mean, I manage that with low-level, entry-level folks that come into my role today. They don't really know how to work in the workforce, and the workforce is changing so dramatically, with artificial intelligence. The question is are we preparing our students? So that is also going to be a really important question that this district needs to ask itself, is are we preparing the next generation of community members in how the world is changing? So those are the three big things for me that I think the district is facing over the next 3 years.
Mr. Yelk, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing our district in the next 3 to 5 years?
So very similar to Mr. Kiefer, I would take his number third, and that would be actually my number one. AI is fantastic. I think right now, some people kind of have it backwards. Like they think that, AI is going to take, all these, harder jobs. I look at it, AI is going to replace white collar jobs. Like you're not going to have your bean counters, administrators, policymakers. Like that's going to be done through an algorithm, and folks like those could essentially be obsolete. I would like to see it the other way around. I would love to see kids push back into trades, into blue collar, into the military, a combination of both. It's going to get to the point where, this region cannot support, and colleges are going to end up collapsing. We're looking at an entire generational shift. I hate to say, you look at the boomer class right now, they've got maybe 10 years left. You're going to see quite the opposite of there's not going to be enough jobs. There's going to be too many jobs. Unfortunately, like I said, they are not going to be prepared for that. They're not going to have the white collar jobs that they got, whatever their 4-year degree in. Absolutely nothing against college, but I was fed the same thing, 25 years ago when I came through high school. Like if you don't have college, you're never going to find a good job. I have a fantastic job and I've never set foot, in college a day in my life. So I do think that is the issue. I think kids are kind of being, sold a bill of bad goods at this point. Like I said, having spent a lot of time in high schools, in the past few years, you never see kids that want to do trades. And I find it wild in Adams County that we don't push trades more. I mean, the ACTI that's, here in Adams County is a fraction of the size of, some not so much larger towns and cities. So the biggest problem I see is 100% career direction for how we're pushing kids to, to make their living nowadays.
All right, final question is there anything else in your last 2 minutes that you would like to share with the board? So Mr. Kiefer, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned a lot of it here today, which is, I think I've proven my, passion for this district in my appearance at almost every meeting that the board has hosted, whether it's a different committee or the working sessions or the regular board meetings. I've been passionate to bring solutions rather than just complaints, and I'm not stirring any social media pots. And I'm really trying to educate folks based off of what I can bring to the district in regards to some financial planning, some strategic planning. I also believe in the future of artificial intelligence I've mentioned, as well as the trades. That's another big thing that I don't think this district is really focusing on. And Jeannie, I appreciate you always bringing up, like, what is the plan once we buy the land for ACTI? Because again, it's not just about like, how do we get what's going, but how do we think about this financially? How do we plan for this? Is it just going to be another, bucket of money that we're going to have to start, somehow recovering out of a different line item? Because we do need the trades, right? That's where, I agree with my colleague or my peer here as well. So at the end of the day, I think it's just the fact that I show up, the fact that I'm passionate about the education, that I have the experience that I believe can really, make me an individual contributor on this board that helps us push forward and generate solutions. So appreciate the opportunity, everybody. And I look forward to continuing to working with you all in whatever capacity that you give to me.
Thank you. Mr. Yo.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. This has been quite an eye-opening experience. I've had a blast already. It's been the best 2 hours of my life. So,
you're going on 3 now.
Oh, is it 3 now? You're gonna hear my stomach start rumbling here too, and everybody's gonna get really mad. So, listen, I'm a very faith-centric person. And listen, I understand rules between separation church and state and everything else. High trust societies, like, we need to start building high trust societies, and that starts with our children. I am all about, yes, we can talk about money, we can talk about supplies, but like I said, the educational role and what we're teaching kids, that is the fundamental foundation. I wouldn't say Littlestown's a rich area, wouldn't necessarily, it's an economically repressed area. At the end of the day, we have to find some commonality between these kids. We have to find out what's going to unite them. I said, I've heard stories from my oldest and my youngest. Days have changed since we went through high school. So part of me is, trying to figure out like, hey, how is this evolving? And where do we see this in 5 to 10 years? So I very much look forward to, if I'm chosen for this, to be a part of that journey, because the human psychology is a fascinating thing, especially in, children. They always say out of the mouth of babes. And it's crazy to hear what kids say nowadays. So I'm definitely here for it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold.
First off, thank you for this opportunity. As you can tell, I'm not a public speaker. Don't do well in these situations, but I am a positive thinker. I think towards the future. I think about the reason why I'm in that position. And, I didn't touch on the trade school stuff. I never went to college. I knew I wasn't good in school. School was not for me. So to have the options of trade schools, military options, and athletic routes to help these kids is important. And, I'd like to see that grow, right? So, just I look forward to the opportunity to be on the board and make positive changes towards our school board, our students, our teachers, staff. Look forward to working with all of you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. At this time, Do members of the board have any follow-up questions for the candidates? Anyone?
I do.
Mr. Sullivan?
Do you have to ask everybody? Okay, here's my question. To all three of you, what really made you very interested in coming to to be on this board?
We just asked that. That was literally the question.
Well,
I mean, it's
I want the person who drives them, I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Answered
They answered the question. Yeah. It was the question. Why are you here?
I said it was the students. They wanted my.
Yeah.
Yeah, the students, okay, but I'm just saying, okay, let me repeat it. I'm sorry. Since I haven't seen some of you at any board meetings, that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I'm sorry, I
There's
said
a line.
it wrong.
I think I understand. So you're basically saying, hey, you've never been to a school board meeting. I couldn't pick you out of the lineup. I don't know you from Adam, like why all of a sudden,
Right.
how or why are you here? I think it's a fair question. I mean, there comes a point in, every man and woman's life where they decide they need to take action. Whether that's over time or whether that's you wake up one morning and you say, hey, I'm gonna stand for something. Like I said, for me personally, I'm gonna retire by next December from the military. 25 years, wrapping it up. It's been great, it's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. What's my next chapter? So having lived in a service, industry, not service industry, but in the service for, 25 years, what's my next calling? To me, I think this is my next calling. I love politics. It's absolutely enthralling to me, not just on a national scale, because not the national scale stuff doesn't affect the local, but everybody wants to, complain about politics, but they never want to get involved in. Like you said, the community doesn't engage. And when they do, it's all negative. So at this point, how do you turn the tide? How do you get local people involved? So y'all want to local people involved that haven't done this before? Well, here we are.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Arnold?
So fresh faces, right? New challenges that I don't personally know many of you, right? It's more on the lines of what's best for the kids, like we said at the beginning. And, a non-biased opinion coming into a board that has kind of been together, kind of been through the ropes and seeing something, me coming in and not seeing meetings before. Yeah, I've seen them online and skimmed through them and, it is important. Education is important for me, so I just want to be involved in the local level, as far as politics, this is where everything starts and goes up from there, right? So if we can kind of keep this small town growing at a steady pace and to help benefit our kids, that's why.
Thanks.
Mr. Kiefer?
Yep. Yeah, and for me, first and foremost, it's for my own kids. Obviously, I have a natural need to help give them the best environment that I possibly can from an educational perspective. But it's obviously bigger than that too. Like I'm always passionate in getting involved in community projects. I've done that when I lived in Anne Arundel County before moving up here. And just what I found in Littlestown, and part of the reason that we even came back here is we grew up in Mifflin County, and then we moved to Boston. We moved to Baltimore for my wife to get her PhD. And one thing that I found in this community is what I missed when I left that small town in Mifflin County, which is just like people who are just here, just like they'll have your back for anything, and they'll fight, for the good of anything. They'll help neighbors, even if they have differing politics or beliefs or values. And that's just something that like, it feels like there's a disconnect. And I really want to see if we can build the bridge between the community and the district, because again, you see the social media, you hear the rumors, you hear what people say, and it's just like, it isn't the lived experience. So there's some kind of disconnect that I believe we could build that bridge back between the community and the schools. And ultimately the schools are the feeder system for the community. So that's what I really want to get passionate about, is like, getting involved in this small town and really empowering my children to live in an environment that they can have the best education possible. So those are the two big reasons that I'm involved.
Right. Any other follow-up questions? All right, at this time, let's take a minute or two just to review notes and everything, and then in about a minute, I'll have Mr. Walker explain the voting procedures.
Congratulations.
Brenneman, and that'll be a motion. We get a second. And then everyone would state, it'll be a roll call vote. You will state the name of the person you're voting for. We need 5 votes to fill a vacancy. So if we get 5 votes for that one, great. If it's 4 something something, we can revote, drop the lowest vote getter for that seat, vote again. If we have 5 votes then the remaining 2 candidates will go on to the next one. It'll be motion to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Mary Brenneman. And we'll do the same thing. You state aloud the name of the candidate you're voting for. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, can I have a motion to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Danielle Brenneman?
You so moved.
A motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Janelle Ressler.
All right, have the discussion.
If people want discussion, that's normal procedure. If you want, otherwise we can go to vote.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Shoemaker will call the roll and all board members will state the name of the candidate that they wish to vote for.
Stephen Yurgen,
Joseph Yelp.
Donna Bayless,
Bradley Kiefer.
Kelly McCall,
Joseph Yelp.
Nick Lovell,
Bradley Kiefer.
Jeannie Ewan,
Bradley Kiefer.
Janelle Ressler,
Joseph Yelk.
and Dwayne Sullivan.
Bradley Kiefer.
So it's 4-3. What I would recommend is then, well, we still. It's 4-3, correct?
Correct.
We need 5.
We had 5.
We have 5.
Yes. We could go about this 2 ways. We could either revote, but it may come out the same, or we could do the other approach since Mr. Kiefer received the most votes. We could have a motion to approve Mr. Kiefer and have everyone vote on that candidate. It's up to you guys.
Is there a preference? Okay, do the 5. We'll do a revote.
Revote?
Oh, we got to do the same thing with the roll call?
Yeah.
Well, are we gonna do it the same way where everyone states the name of the candidate, or do we want to vote on one candidate? That's the question.
Just for clarification, so the option is revote with a name or choose a name and do 5 votes.
You vote with a name and let's see where we go.
Okay. So it'd be same motion. I presume the motion to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Miss Danielle
Do we
Brennan.
need to have another motion?
no, it's on the table. We can revote. That's fine. Yep.
All right, we're gonna change the order. So Janelle Wrestler.
Joe Yelk.
No, I thought we were doing one name and then voting on
No, we're doing.
it. We gotta revote.
Same thing again.
Same thing.
Dwayne Sullivan.
Riley Kiefer.
Stephen Yerger.
Joseph Yelk.
Donna Bayless.
Bradley Kiefer.
Ally McCall.
Joe Yelk.
Nick Lovell.
Joe Yelk.
We need 5.
Jeannie Ewan.
Joe Yelk. Otherwise we'll be here.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Yelk. You've been appointed as a member of the board. All right, at this time, we will move to filling of second vacancy. Board so moves. So can I have a motion to approve? Can I have a motion to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Mary Brennan?
So moved, Dwayne Sullivan.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Seconded, Ally McCall.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Shoemaker will call the roll.
Jeannie Ewan.
We're gonna get stuck again. Bradley Kiefer.
Janelle Wrestler.
Bill Arnold.
Stephen Yerger.
Bill Arnold.
Sullivan.
Riley Kiefer.
Donna Bayless.
Bradley Kiefer.
Nick Lovell.
Bill Arnold.
Ally McCall.
Bill Arnold.
Four to three.
Yep.
So we're just gonna have to vote again.
Same thing again.
Open it up for any discussion if you want it, or any discussion. Okay.
Any discussion? Mr. Shoemaker will call the roll.
All right. We will go Donna Bayless.
Bradley Kiefer.
Ally McCall.
Bill Arnold.
Nick Lovell.
Bill Arnold.
Jeannie Ewan.
Bill Arnold.
Janelle Wrestler.
Bill Arnold.
Dwayne Sullivan.
Riley Kiefer.
Stephen Yerger.
Bill Arnold.
That's fine.
Congratulations, Mr. Arnold. I would like to thank all of the candidates for applying. Thank you, Mr. Kiefer, Mr. Yelp, Mr. Arnold, for your willingness to contribute to the Littlestown Area School District. Mr. Yelp and Mr. Arnold, from here, you'll be required to fill out a statement of financial interest form and file it with Mr. Shoemaker, as well as you will receive an oath of office form that you will have to take to get notarized and be sworn in. We ask that you do that here within the next couple of days because our next voting meeting is Monday, June 22nd. So with that, I missed it. The board met executive session on May 27th, June 1st, and June 8th to conduct meetings and interviews for the superintendent search. Prior to tonight's meeting, the board met executive session to discuss a matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance, promotion or discipline of a specific employee of the district. The board will meet in executive session for the same reason, post adjournment of tonight's meeting. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion.
Steve Yerger, second.
Who's the seconded? All in favor, signify by saying aye.